Chapter 1278. Side Quest. Resolute Resentment. Shisheng was speechless. Buttface, can you stop giving out quests at every opportunity? Since you won't accept it, I'll just give it to you. The system was very casual. Host, just listen. Shisheng was speechless. Buttface was also infected? Friendly reminder. If you complete this side quest, you will have a chance to obtain the solution to the soul sacrifice. Shisheng was speechless. I knew Buttface wouldn't be so passive, waiting for I to complete the quest. She hadn't even figured out Muyu's background, and now there was another piece of jade. What a rush to make up the story. I don't want to follow the plot. Let this Bao happily act tough, show off their love, and spread some dog food. Big things like following the plot were usually done by the male and female leads. Now the male lead was following the plot alone. She didn't know what the female lead was doing. Shisheng asked Sly Boy to lock up Second Master Mu until Muyu was better. She went into the bedroom and saw Muyu lying on the bed, sleeping on his side. Shisheng went forward and carefully moved him to the side of the bed. He took out the Resolute Resentment jade from under the pillow. As the male lead's golden finger, there must be a story behind it. Shisheng looked at it for a while, but couldn't find anything special about it. Buttface said there was a chance. This meant that even if she completed the quest, she might not be able to obtain the solution to the soul sacrifice. So, why would I do such an uncertain task? Shisheng put the Resolute Resentment jade back into the pillow. She would do it her own way. Shisheng was about to get out of bed when Muyu suddenly turned over and put his arm around her waist. Shisheng paused for a moment, then lay down and hugged him to sleep. Shisheng didn't care how Muyu dealt with Second Master Mu. He only asked Sly Boy to get rid of the body. Maybe Sly Boy was crazy, or maybe he didn't like the Mu family for a long time, so he threw the body back to the Mu family. Of course, the result was that he was almost caught by the Mu family. If he hadn't met Yukishiro, he might not have lived to see the next day. Yukishiro had saved his life, and the cunning child was not 8 feet away from her, but there was still a distance of 1 meter between them. How did you offend the Mu family? Yukishiro asked curiously. It's nothing. He couldn't possibly say that he went to dispose of the corpse and get caught, right? Although Yukishiro was curious, she didn't want to ask any more questions. Most importantly, he seemed to be very afraid of her. Yukishiro ran upstairs. Muyu took out a bowl and a pair of chopsticks and placed them in front of Yukishiro. Thank you, Muyu. Muyu didn't say anything and focused on eating. Yukishiro immediately turned to look at Shisheng. Weishi, the school competition is the day after tomorrow. Are you ready? Instead of worrying about us, it's better to worry about you. At worst, I'll be kicked out. Anyway, I've already taken back my mother's things. Yukishiro didn't seem to care. Besides, my mother left me some other things that should be enough for my school fees. Shisheng raised his eyebrows. How did you get it back? At this point, Yukishiro excitedly told Shisheng everything that had happened. Weishi, you're my motivation. Every time I want to back out, I'll have the courage to do it when I think of you. When they saw that I was angry, they didn't want me to make a scene. So they gave me back my things. Muyu looked up at Yukishiro and frowned. He suddenly stood up and walked to Yukishiro and looked down at her. Yukishiro was speechless. What are you doing? Muyu, you're scaring me when you stare at me like that. You sit over there. Shisheng pointed at the table opposite him. Yukishiro was confused. She took the bowl and sat across from Shisheng. It was inconvenient for Yukishiro to talk across the table, so she had to eat first. She glanced at Shisheng and Muyu, sighing in her heart. What a unique way of getting jealous. Weishi, what happened last time? It's solved. Yukishiro thought for a while. She didn't ask if it was the Mu family who did it. Instead, she changed the topic to the student union. The student union caught a devil. He's one of the higher-ups in our school. He's the one who let the devils in. Although the problem was solved, the student union's prestige in the school was not as high as before. The school competition used to be organized by the student union. This time, all the major families sent people to put pressure on the school to participate. Of course, Shisheng felt that they had an ulterior motive. When Shisheng saw the president, He was quite normal and didn't seem to be affected. Miss Weishi. The president smiled. Mu Yu is here too. Mu Yu grabbed Shisheng and walked away. The president took a step forward and blocked their way. He handed her a note. Miss Weishi, this is from Mr. Mu. Shisheng was speechless. Mu Bai, that idiot. She took the note. The president smiled even more gently. Miss Weishi, see you later. Shisheng unfolded the note and read. The game started. Shisheng was speechless. Start my ass. Don't let I catch you. Perhaps Mu Bai was traumatized by the previous incident. He didn't dare to show his face at all. He didn't even dare to go near Shisheng. Stay away from Shisheng and cherish your life. Who is it? Mu Yu grabbed Shisheng's hand tightly. Who is Mr. Mu? Shisheng threw the note away. An idiot. You care a lot about him. He could feel that her emotions were fluctuating. She rarely had such emotional fluctuations. Even when she was provoked, her expression might change, but there was no fluctuation in her eyes. She didn't care about those people. But now it was just a note. Shisheng pinched him. Are you jealous? Mu Yu blinked and looked at him in confusion. I don't feel good. Are you jealous? Yes. Shisheng smiled. Oh. Mu Yu replied expressionlessly. I don't like to be jealous. It was a very uncomfortable feeling. If you're not jealous, how can you prove that you care about me? Mu Yu's gaze wavered. Who cares about you? Shisheng pretended to leave. Then I'll go and find. Mu Yu held on to Shisheng. I care about you. Shisheng was amused by his expression. Mu Yu didn't know why she was laughing, but he was happy to see her happy. Shisheng cupped his face and kissed him. Mu Yu's face instantly turned red when people came and went. Although she had kissed and touched him recently, Mu Yu still couldn't help but feel shy every time she touched him. You're the only person I care about. Mu Yu looked at her in a daze. She was right, the only person she cared about. It wasn't that she cared about him the most. It wasn't that she cared about him very much. It was that he was the only person she cared about. Shisheng chuckled. Are you happy now? Mu Bai and she came from the same world. It was inevitable that they would be excited to see each other from the same hometown. Most importantly, she admired Mu Bai's spirit of, even if you kill me, I will disgust you to death, and make a comeback. But she didn't care about Mu Bai. She didn't care whether he lived or died. Only him. Only him. Asterisk, the only thing I care about is your votes. Chapter 1279. Sigh. Her daughter-in-law only knew how to cause trouble for her. She couldn't even hit her. This time, she really didn't dare to hit Mu Yu. With Mu Yu's current state, she suspected that if she beat him up, he would be smashed into pieces. Shisheng took advantage of the fact that those people were watching and slipped to the back. She came back after a while. The person who was monitoring Shisheng reported to Mu Hui. He went to the toilet and didn't do anything else. Keep a close eye on him. Yes. Mu Hui looked at Shisheng. She happened to be looking at them. Their eyes met in the air. Mu Hui suddenly felt a sense of panic as if he had been seen through. She seemed to know something. No, if she knew, she wouldn't have let Mu Yu go up. Mu Hui gave himself a shot of adrenaline in his heart. He lowered his head and ordered the people beside him. Tell them to get ready. Patriarch, Lu Song and the people here are innocent. Mu Ye's face turned ugly. Mu Yi, a man of great ambition, doesn't care about trifles. If we don't take this opportunity to get rid of them, there will be endless trouble in the future. They died a worthy death. Mu Hui lectured Mu Yi. But, Mu Yi. Mu Hui's face darkened. Don't forget what she did to the Mu family. How did your father die? Mu Yi looked at the young man on the stage and clenched his fists. Ah. Suddenly, there was a loud shout from below the stage. Mu Yu had already unfolded his star map. The black star map made people scream. As for Mu Yu's opponent, he seemed to be stunned by this turn of events. It was common knowledge that only demons and contracted demons had black star maps. Mu Yu didn't want to win the competition. He just wanted to end things with the Mu family. Therefore, after he unfolded his star map, he looked straight in the direction of the Mu family. Mu Hui's face darkened. Do it. The people below the stage felt that the atmosphere was not right and wanted to run outside. However, the nearest person ran to the door. A light rose from the ground and surrounded the entire stage in an arc. What's going on? Let us out. Let us out. What is this? Let us out quickly. Everyone was trapped inside. The light was like an iron bastion. No matter what they did, they couldn't break it open. Compared to the chaos of these people, Shisheng was much calmer. He sat alone in the middle of the empty grandstand and stared at the stage with his arms crossed. The competition stage was also surrounded by the same light, trapping Mu Yu and the unlucky guy inside. People from the major clans appeared from the shadows. Mu Yu Weishi, hurry up and surrender. Mu Yu raised his hand and waved. Countless black skulls rose from the star atlas and rapidly crashed into the light walls surrounding the competition stage. Don't waste your energy. With your current ability, you're definitely... Before the man could finish his words, a crack appeared on the light wall. Gotcha. In the next second, countless skeletons squeezed out from the cracks, and the entire light wall shattered. Spells condensed into a fixed form, but Shisheng taught Mu Yu that he could change his form at will. There were flying skeletons everywhere. Stop them. The rest of you follow the plan, Mu Hui calmly commanded. Everyone immediately scattered. Some retreated outside, while others went forward to stop Mu Yu. Shisheng took out the iron sword and threw it at the outermost light wall. Buzz. The iron sword buzzed in the air and pierced the light wall. Gotcha, gotcha. The light wall was broken by the iron sword. The people trapped inside quickly ran out, disrupting the pace of Mu Hui and the others. Patriarch, it's not working. We've underestimated her ability. Mu Yu shouldn't be so strong. How can she not be affected at all? That sword. Mu Hui's gaze fell on the iron sword. His face was pale. It's all because of that sword. She didn't even make a move. We can't take that sword away. Patriarch, are we going to waste our efforts today? Mu Hui looked inside. She hasn't come out yet. We still have a chance. Everyone's heart sank. They followed the plan and went to their respective positions. When one of them reached his position, he suddenly realized that there was someone there. He frowned and asked cautiously, "Who are you?" Patriarch Mu asked me for help. Why didn't he tell you? The other party turned around. He had an elegant face and didn't look aggressive. He had a faint smile on his face. That person was stunned. Patriarch Mu didn't tell me. Before he could finish his sentence, he was hit in the back. His body fell weakly to the ground, revealing the president behind him. He glanced at the man and dragged him to the bushes at the side. Mu Yu had already moved down from the stage. Colorful lights were flying everywhere. Shisheng stepped on the seat and jumped to his side. Shisheng kicked away the people blocking his way. Something's wrong. Let's get out of here first. She didn't have this feeling earlier, but now she did. It must be that idiot Mu Bai. Mu Yu finished off the last person. She kept the star map and followed Shisheng outside. When they reached the periphery, a huge pentagram suddenly appeared on the ground. It almost covered the entire competition stage. A shadow of the pentagram appeared in the air and formed a three-dimensional image. Shisheng tried to walk out, but no matter where she went, she would eventually be transported back to the center. Mu Hui and the others heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the array was completed. Now we just have to wait for the array to weaken their strength. Mu Hui said cautiously, "Don't relax. We have to be alert. We can't let them out." Patriarch Mu, something's wrong with the array. What's that? Mu Hui heard the voice and looked up. Originally, the pentagram array was golden in color, but now one side of the pentagram array was dyed black. Shisheng stared at the black that was coming over like a prairie fire. Her mouth twitched. If Mu Hui knew that he had helped that idiot Mu Bai, would he be furious? Shisheng looked in the direction of the black. Over there? Shisheng put away her iron sword. She moved her feet and the hexagram was activated. The black that was coming over suddenly withered when it came into contact with her star map. But in just a second, the black came back again. The entire pentagram started to spin. The golden part was swallowed up bit by bit. Finally, only the part under Shisheng's feet was still golden. Without any wind, the whirlwind gradually grew stronger in the pentagram, forming a small black tornado. The tornado brought with it a sharp aura. Everything in its path was crushed into pieces. Mu Hui and the others could no longer control the pentagram. They could only watch helplessly. What was going on? They had painstakingly gathered so many high-grade weapons, and finally set up a pentagram array. The pentagram array did not fail, and they had trapped the person, but they had lost control of the array? This was not a joke. Chapter 1280. Shisheng watched as the tornado swept past her. Why did that idiot Mu Bai think that this thing could trap her? Hold on tight. Shisheng grabbed Mu Yu's arm and urged him. Mu Yu didn't say anything. He tightened his grip slightly as a response. Shisheng looked at the trajectory of the tornado and calculated the time. When two tornadoes were approaching, she suddenly ran forward. The iron sword opened a path and cut through the tornado that was about to merge. When she passed through, she felt uncomfortable as if something was squeezing her body. Mu Yu only felt a slight discomfort. The watch on his wrist was faintly hot, but the discomfort soon disappeared. Shisheng ran past 5 tornadoes in a row. When he stopped, they were already standing outside the arena. Mu Hui and the others were just in front of them. They were all looking at them with gloomy faces. I'm going to take care of someone. You play by yourself. Be careful. Shisheng let go of Mu Yu. Mu Yu glanced at Mu Hui. Okay. Shisheng ran in another direction. Mu Yu stood in the middle of the road and blocked the pursuers. Mu Yu, why are you helping the evildoers? Mu Yu's azure eyes flashed with a dark light. Without saying a word, he directly attacked. In the flash of light, countless skeletons rushed out. Shisheng went around the corner of the arena and ran to the back of the arena. The air was filled with the smell of blood. When she turned another corner, the scene in front of her stunned her. It was a pentagram drawn with blood. In the middle of the pentagram, Yukishiro was lying on the ground. Blood was flowing from her wrist. Beside Yukishiro, the president stood with a cold face and a bloodstained knife in his hand. Miss Weishi, you're here. The president turned around and smiled. The shrubs behind him were swaying in the wind. It was as if time had stopped. Where's Mu Bai? The president took out a handkerchief and wiped the blood on the knife. Miss Weishi, Mr. Mu said that it's not his turn to deal with this small matter. Bullsh *T. Shisheng glanced at Yukishiro and said, he doesn't have the guts to meet me. That's why he sent you here. The president acted as if he didn't hear her. Miss Weishi, do you know what makes a person feel the most despair when they die? Shisheng said coldly. There's no such thing as the greatest despair, only greater despair. Shisheng's answer might not be what the president expected. He paused for a few seconds before answering with a smile. Miss Weishi seems to be very knowledgeable. Weishi. Yukishiro twisted her head and looked at her with a pale face. It's dangerous. Run. The president lowered her head and looked at Yukishiro. Suddenly, the knife in her hand slipped out and went straight for Yukishiro's chest. The knife was sharp, and if it was stabbed he would definitely die. Yukishiro's breathing stopped at that moment. She did not expect that she would not be killed by her stepmother and stepsister. Instead, she would die in such a strange way. Yes, it was baffling. Who? The knife was blown away by the strong wind and fell beside Yukishiro's arm, leaving a deep cut on her arm. Blood flowed down her arm and soaked into the ground. The next moment, a strong light filled her eyes. She could barely see anything. All she could hear was the whistling of the wind. The sound lasted for a long time. When the light dimmed, Yukishiro felt that the force that was restraining her was gone. Her eyes were sore, and tears flowed out uncontrollably. The scene around her was like a Category 12 typhoon. Branches were broken, buildings collapsed and the ground cracked. Yukishiro tried to sit up. The pentagram array under her was destroyed. Not far away, the president's body was lying on the ground. No one knew if he was dead or alive. Weishi. Yukishiro got up from the ground and ran toward the president. She tripped a few times before she reached Shisheng. Weishi. Weishi, are you okay? Yukishiro helped her up. Shisheng's eyes were closed and his breathing was weak. It seemed that he would die at any moment. Yukishiro's face was pale. Her lips were trembling and her voice sounded like she was about to cry. Weishi, don't die. Please don't die. I will take you to Muyu. She got up from the ground and supported Shisheng. Her wrist was still bleeding. The blood flowed down her arm and dripped to the ground. It was a ghastly sight. She ignored the blood on her wrist and helped Shisheng to walk forward. Little girl, leave him to me. A gentle voice came from behind. It was a polite voice, but Yukishiro felt a chill run down her spine. Her mind went blank for a moment. It was that man. Yukishiro's body went limp, and she fell to the ground. Suddenly, she felt a strong force around her waist. She felt dizzy and found herself in a man's arms. A familiar voice sounded in her ears. Mubai, long time no see. You cheated. The voice that had been gentle and elegant a moment ago now had a hint of gnashing teeth. All is fair in war. Mubai was heartbroken. You were not like this in the past. You have changed. This woman was never one to play by the rules. Now she had learned how to cheat. He could not play this game anymore. He was too careless just now. Calm down. He could not be agitated. As a gentleman, he had to maintain his elegance. Elegance, elegance my ass. He could not even maintain his smile. I want to rewind and start all over again. Shisheng curled his lips. You were not so good at hiding in the past. Mubai took a few deep breaths and barely managed to calm the irritation in his heart. I will improve. Shisheng bandaged Yukishiro's hand and said calmly, I will improve too. Is your progress a trick? That is not in line with your character. Mubai was furious. He was violating his character. Mubai, you don't know me that well. Shisheng let go of Yukishiro's hand and let her steady herself. She looked up at the man opposite her. I have done many things that you can never imagine. I don't like cheating because it is troublesome, not because I don't know how to do it. Mubai gritted his teeth. That's true. Otherwise, why would you be in that position? I was too careless this time. I should have made sure that you were dead before coming out. But don't worry, I will make sure that you are really dead next time. Mubai quickly took out his knife and placed it on his neck without hesitation. I have a small gift for you. I hope you like it. Even if he could not kill her, he wanted to disgust her to death. He was so angry. Wait a minute. So, he had prepared a small gift so early because deep down, he also felt that he could not defeat her? Mubai suddenly hated himself. How could he have such a scary thought? Next time, he would survive until the end. He wiped his hand and his body fell to the ground. Half of his face started to change. His skin turned greenish-brown and his body started to expand. In the next moment, Shisheng carried Yukishiro and quickly retreated. Bang! Chapter 1281. Mubai's explosion leveled the entire school. Shisheng didn't know how he'd done it, but the power of the explosion was just that great. Not only did the school explode, but several other places in the city also exploded. That was not a big deal. What was even more shameful was that Mubai had left her name at the scene. Mubai had made the best use of the phrase, I can't kill you, but I can make you sick to death. The explosion had just happened, and in less than 5 minutes, the news had spread all over the internet. Now everyone in the city knew that she was up to something. Shisheng took out his tablet and clicked on the progress bar. The progress bar had reached 88%. 12% more. Shisheng put the tablet away and looked at Yukishiro. Are you okay? Yukishiro's body was weak. When she heard Shisheng's voice, she came back to her senses and hugged Shisheng's neck. I thought you were going to die. Shisheng froze for a moment before patting her back. Yukishiro burst into tears. She was really frightened this time. It took her a while to calm down. Can you walk? Shisheng asked. Yukishiro was still clinging to him. She shook her head. No. Shisheng sighed and picked her up. I will put you in a safe place later. Yukishiro looked up at him. What about you? It's not safe with me. I have to find Muyu. Well, be careful. Shisheng looked at her and quickly found a safe place. He called the hospital and went back to find Muyu. The explosion happened so fast that all the Mu family members were affected. Only Muyu was unharmed. When the explosion swept over, They saw Muyu's body emitting white light. The young man was exquisite. His silver hair fluttered in the wind, and the fire danced in his blue eyes. He was like an untainted fairy, shockingly beautiful, so beautiful that it was unreal. Shisheng went to find Muyu and checked him carefully. "I'm fine." Muyu let him touch his body, and his eyes fell on the watch on his wrist. "What about them?" Shisheng gestured with his chin towards Mu Hui and the others. Muyu looked over and raised his voice slightly. "From now on, I have nothing to do with you." Mu Hui was speechless. Muyu turned around. "Let's go." Shisheng pursed her lips. She was a little reluctant. She wanted to get rid of all future troubles. But Muyu's eyes revealed a trace of weakness and pleading. "Weishi, if they dare to do anything to you again, I will not show any mercy." Muyu was silent for a few seconds. "At that time, I will do it myself." Since the school had been destroyed, the school competition naturally could not continue. Shisheng didn't dare to bring Muyu back to Paradise Street. He asked Sly Tong to find a more secluded place. She went back alone to pack up Muyu's things. In fact, Muyu didn't have many things, so Shisheng brought along the things he usually used. She looked around the room and her gaze fell on the pillow. She walked over and bent down to take out the jade from under the pillow. After thinking for a while, she stuffed it into her bag. After making sure that everything was packed, Shisheng went downstairs. The staircase was very old. The white dust on the wall had fallen off, revealing the cement wall. There were all kinds of strange things drawn on it. Shisheng walked a few steps and suddenly stopped. There was a person leaning against the corner of the staircase. It was a woman. The woman walked a few steps forward and revealed her face. "Weishi, I want to talk to you." In the coffee shop, Shisheng and Aunt Xian sat facing each other. At this moment, Aunt Xian had a strong and fierce aura. She was no longer as amiable as an elder. Aunt Xian spread a few documents in front of Shisheng. Shisheng's gaze swept across the documents. A few words jumped into his vision. Demon Law Demon Cleansing Alliance Law Demon Sealing Record. Weishi. Aunt Xian spoke calmly. Weishi, an SS rank demon. She was sealed in the demon sealing record for 600 years. She broke the seal 2 years ago and formed a contract with a human. Danger level red. Shisheng casually flipped through the documents on the table. "You knew that Muyu had formed a contract with a demon 2 years ago. Why did you only come to find me now?" "You are a demon king," Aunt Xian said seriously. "We didn't dare to act rashly. We could only monitor you first." Aunt Xian observed Shisheng's expression and found that she didn't show any emotions. She continued, "According to our observations, you didn't do anything to kill the innocent. However, we didn't know how dangerous you were, so we decided to continue observing you." "Then why are you looking for me now?" Aunt Xian opened the tablet on the table and passed it to her. There were a few videos of the scene of the explosion. The most eye-catching one was her name. Weishi was here. Shisheng had seen it before. However, that video only had her name. It wasn't filmed in full. F***CK Mubai is an idiot. He actually used such a trashy slogan. Aunt Xian suddenly heard Shisheng scolding someone. She caught a word. "Mubai?" Shisheng pushed the video away. "Would you believe me if I said that I was the one who did this?" Aunt Xian frowned. She didn't say whether she believed it or not. She continued, "The demons in the demon suppression record were all sealed willingly. They signed a contract with our demon cleansing alliance. You weren't summoned by your own will." Shisheng interrupted Aunt Xian. "Wait, you said that I was sealed willingly?" No matter how he looked at it, the original owner didn't seem like a demon who was willing to be sealed. Yes, most of the demons in the demon suppression record are S rank. There aren't many SS rank demons, but there are still quite a few. Once they reach their rank, they won't be able to level up. If they aren't sealed and can't level up, they will die. Shisheng. So there was a way to avoid death. He had learned something new. Aunt Xian continued. You weren't summoned by your own will. This is our Demon Cleansing Alliance's negligence. However, you caused such a large explosion and caused countless casualties. This is a violation of the contract. Therefore, we will seal you again according to the contract. This time, you will be sealed forever. Shisheng looked at Aunt Xian in amusement. What makes you think that I will let you seal me? Muyu. Aunt Xian also smiled and said confidently, he won't die as long as you are sealed. She cared about Muyu a lot. This was what they had observed. Muyu was their bargaining chip right now. Shisheng sneered. That's it. There was only coldness in her eyes, and not the slightest fluctuation could be seen. Aunt Xian suddenly felt a bit nervous. She forced herself to calm down. There is no solution to the soul sacrifice. He will become weaker and weaker. Do you want to see him die? Shisheng stood up, her eyes filled with arrogance. You want to control my affairs? That's impossible. No one can make decisions for me. If your demon cleansing alliance dares to mess around, I will make your demon cleansing alliance disappear. She left her position and smiled as she turned around. Her voice was faint as she said, I don't mind the world being in chaos. ## seeking evergreen flower flavored votes today # monthly votes 2000 monthly votes 2000 monthly votes 2000 monthly votes 2000. Chapter 1282. Shisheng pressed the table and leaned over to look at Aunt Xian. I don't think you have the anti-demon record. Aunt Xian's expression changed. Shisheng clicked his tongue. Where did you get the courage to negotiate with me if you don't even have the anti-demon record? Come and talk to me after you have enough bargaining chips. Shisheng retracted his hand and walked out of the cafe. Aunt Xian stood up and lost her composure. Weishi, do you really not care about Muyu? Shisheng paused and said after a while. If he lives, I live. If he dies, I die. The explosion was a hot topic, but there was nothing they could do as they couldn't find Weishi. Under the control of the Devil Cleansing Alliance, the situation gradually calmed down. Weishi, did you really do it? Yukishiro turned off the TV and climbed onto the bed. She looked at Shisheng who was sitting beside her. Shisheng rolled his eyes. I wouldn't write such a stupid manifesto. Yukishiro rolled her eyes. You mean Weishi was here? Ha ha ha, I think it's funny too. She laughed and paused. Was it the person from that day? Shisheng looked at her. How did you get caught by him? Logically speaking, the female lead shouldn't have been caught by that idiot Mu by so easily. Yukishiro was furious. It was Shuefei and Nana. They got into a fight and I accidentally saw them. Who knew that they would team up to deal with me? That man suddenly appeared and caught me. Shisheng. The supporting female lead and the female lead couldn't get along well. I didn't expect the president to be so scary. Yukishiro shrank her neck. She still remembered the president's expression when he slit her wrist. The president had always been scary. He was a pervert. Shisheng changed the topic. Do you have anything in particular that you want to do? This incident was directed at me. You were implicated. I'll give you a chance to make a request. Yukishiro's eyes lit up. Anything? Shisheng added. Except for Muyu. Yukishiro. She didn't want Muyu. He was scarier than the president. Let me think. Yukishiro rested her chin on her hand and pondered for a long time. Can I save it? Yes, sure. Shisheng had something else to do. So he asked Cunning Tong to stay here and watch over Yukishiro. Jiao Tong had been taking care of her in the hospital for the past few days. Although he said he was taking care of her, he was actually pretending to be invisible in the room. Sometimes, when Yukishiro was bored, she found it fun to tease him. Shisheng returned to her new home and found traces of someone in the room. She frowned. Muyu. Muyu poked half of his head out of the bathroom. His head was wet, and his silver hair stuck to his cheeks. The water droplets slid down his cheeks to his collarbone, but the bottom was blocked by the bathroom door. He opened his mouth slightly. You're back? Who was here? Aunt Xian. Shisheng frowned. What did she say to you? Nothing much. He just came to see me. Shisheng went to the bedroom to find his school bag and took out the book. Muyu always carried this book with him. Aunt Xian probably didn't expect it to be in his school bag. Shisheng took the book and went out. Muyu had already put on his clothes and came out. He was drying his hair with a towel. His messy hair matched his beautiful face, and it was very beautiful. Shisheng suppressed the thought of committing a crime. Don't interact with her in the future. Why? Shisheng looked at him and said directly, she's from the Devil Cleansing Alliance. She wants to seal me. Mu Yu's eyes narrowed, and his hand stopped drying his hair. He froze for a few seconds, and the towel slipped from his hand. He walked to Shisheng and hugged him. No one can take you away from me. Shisheng smiled and hugged him back. It was finally settled. They didn't know how they kissed or how they ended up on the bed. But when they were about to touch, Mu Yu suddenly shrank back. He hugged himself, and the fear on his face made Shisheng's heart ache. Don't do it. Don't be afraid. Shisheng hugged Mu Yu. I'm sorry. Mu Yu's voice trembled. Give me some time. Okay. Mu Yu's breathing gradually calmed down, and Shisheng played with the book. You want to open this book? Mu Yu asked softly. You can open it? She thought that the book had recognized its owner. But this was a book that sealed demons. How could it recognize its owner? Mu Yu nodded. He took the book and flipped through it. The page opened. Shisheng couldn't open it, so Mu Yu had to do it. These are all demons recorded in the book. Mu Yu said as he flipped through it. I summoned you. Weishi from here, and her page became blank. Mu Yu flipped to the end and pointed at the blank page. Shisheng asked him to continue flipping. The demons at the back were all SS level. They were arranged according to the front, and the further they went, the stronger they were. Besides her page, there was another blank page in the Devil Cleansing record, which was separated from her page by a demon. Why is it blank here? Mu Yu glanced at it. I don't know. It was blank when I got it. Where did you get this book? Mu Yu blinked. It's the same as that piece of jade. It's been here for as long as I can remember. Shisheng. So what the hell was with the book that the male lead changed for him? Buttface, are you messing with the plot again? You must have done it. The system won't take the blame for this. The background was completed by the plane itself. What did it have to do with the system? Besides, Mu Yu was the original male lead. There was nothing wrong with having a complicated background. Host, don't push the blame to others. Shisheng thought for a while and threw the book aside. Sleep. All schemes and tricks were useless in front of a fist. After a while, Shisheng returned to the situation where he wouldn't see anyone during the day, and would only return at night exhausted. The people of the Purifying Demon Master Alliance were still causing trouble for her. Shisheng was so annoyed that he beat them up whenever he saw them. After that, it wasn't just the people of the Purifying Demon Master Alliance, but also the big families and the owners of the places that had been bombed. In short, Shisheng's life was full of challenges. There was no telling which corner someone would turn up to seek revenge. Shisheng finally felt Mu Bai's malice. It was fine if they came together and got rid of her in one fell swoop. But these people came separately. They didn't form groups and didn't care about the time. She could put on a show of passion and speed when she went shopping with Mu Yu. These people couldn't beat her, so why did they have to rush to their deaths, wave after wave, without taking a breather? Shisheng shook off the blood on his iron sword and walked back to Mu Yu's side. Mu Yu leaned against the wall and looked at her against the light. Let's leave this place. In my last moments, I only want to be with you. Without these annoying people and noise, there was only her. Can you wait a little longer? Why? Do you really want to know? Yes. Her recent state worried Mu Yu. He was afraid that she had done something behind his back. I'll take you there tomorrow. Weishi Xiaoyu. Shisheng turned his head and saw Aunt Xian and 3 other men standing at the end of the alley. Shisheng scratched his head in frustration. Are you done? Chapter 1283. He should have seen you transform before. Aunt Xian did not finish her sentence, but she knew that Shisheng understood. Aunt Xian paused. He has the blood of a demon in his body. It is normal for him to have such thoughts towards you who is also a demon. It is his instinct. Shisheng frowned. So, what are you trying to say? She felt that she would take out a check and throw it at her face in the next second. Then, She would act out the scene of a domineering CEO's mother forcing the domineering CEO's beloved son away. Aunt Excian smiled. I don't have any other intentions. Weishi, you don't have to be so nervous. Let me finish. Aunt Excian glanced at Shisheng and organized her words. Muyu's mother is the daughter of our alliance's chairman. We still do not know who his father is. Back then, Xiao Jie was dissatisfied with the marriage arranged by the chairman and disappeared for 3 months. When she returned, she was already 1 month pregnant. No matter how we asked, she would not tell us who the father was. The chairman had no choice but to arrange for Xiao Jie and Mu Hui to get married. Mu Hui knew that Xiao Jie was pregnant, but at that time, he liked Xiao Jie a lot and said that he did not care. Perhaps Xiao Jie wanted to give the child a good environment and accepted the marriage. Xiao Jie gave birth to Xiao Yu, but when Xiao Yu was 1 month old, he suddenly showed signs of dying. Xiao Jie tried many methods, but she did not know what happened to Xiao Yu. She could only watch as Xiao Yu grew weaker day by day until he was on the verge of death. It was a rainy day. Xiao Jie suddenly carried the child and came to find me. At that time, Xiao Yu's blood had already been changed. Xiao Jie left after passing the child to me. When we found her again, she was already dead. Sadness appeared in Aunt Excian's eyes. She used her soul to make a deal with a demon. Later, we found out that she took away the demon forbidding record and the resolute jade. All these years, we have been looking for the demon forbidding record, but we did not expect it to be with Xiao Yu. Shisheng frowned. He is just a child. How could he hide those things? The male lead's background was so strange. It was all a plot. There was nothing wrong with it. Xiao Jie arranged for someone to do it. We still do not know why she took away the demon forbidding record and the resolute jade. Shisheng thought of the blank page in the demon forbidding record. And Mu Yu's mother. We have to get the demon forbidding record and the resolute jade back, or else something bad will happen. Aunt Excian paused. Weishi, I know that you are different from other demons. Our demon cleansing alliance does not object to you being together with Xiao Yu. However, you must sign a new contract. You cannot go against it. Not interested. The original owner wanted to dominate the world. Why would she sign a damn contract? Weishi, this is the best solution. Why do you have to make a big deal out of this? Aunt Excian said earnestly. As long as you sign a new contract, we will create a new identity for you and send you and little you away from here. All of this will be covered in dust, and you will have a new life. Aunt Excian described this matter very vividly, as if they would really have a new life like she said. Shisheng chuckled. Aunt Excian, you forgot about the soul sacrifice. You said that if I wasn't sealed he would die. Aunt Excian, don't tell me that you think that I will forget about this matter just because you used the previous conditions to tempt me? To put it bluntly, you still want to seal me, right? Aunt Excian. Shisheng looked at the sky and suddenly said, the 10th of next month is a good day. Aunt Excian. She pursed her lips into a faint smile and returned under Aunt Excian's confused gaze. Demon Cleansing Alliance. The demons have been very active recently, but they haven't attacked humans. I wonder what they are doing. It's about the same on my side. What do they want to do? In the Demon Cleansing Alliance's daily roundtable meetings, most people had this question and started discussing it. Aunt Excian listened absent-mindedly. Only when someone called her did she come back to her senses. What? We are asking you, how is Mu Yu doing? Aunt Excian shook her head. No progress. Weishi is not easy to deal with. She is a king-level demon. She is definitely not easy to deal with. But we can't just let her go like this. With a king-level demon outside, who knows what will happen? Do the recent events have anything to do with her? Aunt Excian hesitantly said. She said that the 10th of next month is a good day. Everyone's gazes landed on Aunt Excian. Aunt Excian felt a great pressure. What do you mean? She suddenly said that, but I can't connect the two together. I don't know either. No matter what, she definitely has a reason for saying that. Inform everyone to prepare for battle. A slightly older man concluded. After the meeting, Aunt Excian waited for everyone to leave before slowly leaving the meeting room. Just as she left the meeting room, Someone invited her to see the chairman. Aunt Exine took a deep breath and went upstairs. The chairman's office. An old man stood in front of the window with his hands behind his back. Chairman. Aunt Exine respectfully lowered her head. How is that child? The old man's voice was filled with vicissitudes. He shouldn't have much time left. Aunt Exine conservatively replied. The old man gave a long sigh. His fate should be like this. Little Jia forcefully changed his fate for so many years. This is already going against the heavens. Aunt Exine hesitated, not knowing whether she should say it or not. If you have something to say, just say it. There are no outsiders here. Yes. Aunt Exine said. Chairman, I feel that Wei Shi won't let Xiaoyu die like this. She has that ability. Wei Shi is much stronger than what we know. Our understanding of her is only from the demon suppression records. Also, the explosion from before might not have been done by her. After observing her for so long, I noticed that she is a demon that dares to take responsibility for her actions. Then why didn't she explain herself? The old man was confused. Maybe, even if she explained, no one would believe her. Once humans believe that someone did something, they would try their best to prove that they were right. With her ability, there was no need to explain. Anyways, others could do whatever they wanted and it wouldn't affect her much. Aunt Exine had to say that even though she was a demon, she was living a carefree life. She didn't care about the rules of the world at all. If she was unhappy, she would take revenge on the spot. She had the ability to be arrogant. The old man was silent for a moment. What do you mean? Xiaoyu is little Jia's child. I don't want to see him die like this. Wei Shi cares a lot about him. We can... The old man interrupted Aunt Exine. No, this matter has a price. I cannot use the people of the Alliance to exchange for someone who should have died long ago. Chairman, I am willing. Aunt Exine raised her head and looked at the old man. If it wasn't for my negligence, little Jia wouldn't have run out. I should take responsibility for this matter. The old man was silent and didn't speak for a long time. After a long while, the old man's voice rang out. Then what happens after the child dies? If he lives, she lives. If he dies, she dies. This is what she said. I believe that what she said is true. Chapter 1284. On the 10th day of the new year, the demons suddenly issued a challenge to the Demon Cleansing Alliance. It was a serious challenge, not a sneak attack. Although the Demon Cleansing Alliance was prepared, they were still caught off guard. The demons didn't launch a sneak attack, but they openly issued a challenge. Starting from the demon cleansing families, they would take turns one by one. The losers would either die or submit. There was only one person who issued the challenge, and it was the thorn in the side of the Demon Cleansing Alliance. She even said arrogantly, "You have so many people against me, but you can't even defeat me. Don't talk about how unfair it is." The group of Demon Cleansing Alliance was speechless. They couldn't even defeat one demon with so many people. Their faces were burning. The last stop was the Demon Cleansing Alliance. Sheng led a group of demons to the Demon Cleansing Alliance. The Demon Cleansing Alliance looked at them nervously. The old man came out and stood on a high ground, looking down at the scene below. Wei Shi, what do you want to do? I want to dominate the world. Sheng spread his hands. If it wasn't necessary, she didn't like to dominate the world. But she had to fulfill the original owner's last wish. The old man was speechless. Was dominating the world a game? You want to dominate the world? Sheng met the old man's gaze and smiled. You Demon Cleansing Alliance have been in charge for a long time. It's time for us demons to take charge. Since ancient times, evil has never triumphed over good. It's impossible for you demons to take charge. The old man's voice was loud and clear. Sheng narrowed his eyes and smiled. So I'll let you see a miracle. Do you really want to plunge the world into chaos? The old man asked with a dark expression. Chairman, you're exaggerating. I'm issuing a serious challenge. Have you heard of any uncontrollable events? The old man fell silent. Indeed, from the moment she started the challenge, all the families were in chaos. The human world was very peaceful. There were no chaotic scenes of demons attacking humans on a large scale. Shisheng waved his hand. All right, let's not talk nonsense. Just go. If you win, give up your seat. Don't waste time. Everyone looked at the old man. This was the arrow on the bow. It had to be shot. Even if they didn't agree, she would still force her way in. The Demon Cleansing Alliance had the most demon cleansing masters, and their strength was far greater than that of the aristocratic families. Thus, after pondering for a moment, the old man ordered his men to fight. The Battle of the Devil Cleansing Alliance was supposed to be the longest. The Devil Cleansing Alliance took turns to go up, preparing to exhaust the Shisheng to death. However, this idea was good, but reality was cruel. Shisheng's speed was too fast. Most of the time, they would fly off the stage before their star maps could be unfolded. Saying that she cheated? She was attacking openly, but her speed was too fast. How could this be considered a trick? The people behind would unfold their star maps before they went up, but the result was not suspenseful. Unfortunately, there were many of them, and it would take a long time for them to take turns one by one. In the end, the Shisheng got impatient and decided to kill them all. The members of the Demon Cleansing Alliance could only watch helplessly as Shisheng led the demons to take over the Demon Cleansing Alliance. When the Devil Cleansers returned, chaos ensued. Clearly, the results were not good. All the Devil Cleansers either had broken limbs or were doubting their lives. They might have met a fake demon. How could she be so powerful? In the end, the Devil Cleansers could not hold on any longer. The old man took the lead to negotiate with Shisheng. Weishi, what exactly do you want to do? The old man stared sharply at Shisheng. Shisheng smiled mysteriously. I want to create a miracle for you. Everyone. What kind of miracle was this? Zhong Ersheng started to read his lines seriously. Light will always defeat darkness, but there will be a day when darkness will bite back. Yin and Yang cannot be separated. Since it exists, there must be a reason for it. Now darkness is about to descend. The old man's mouth twitched. Devil cleansers and demons are only a small part of the world. This world still belongs to ordinary humans. That's why I didn't do anything to ordinary humans. Shisheng spread his hands. She had spent a lot of effort to not harm humans. Host, do you dare to touch your conscience and say that you really don't want to harm humans? Shisheng rolled his eyes in his heart. Conscience? What is that? I don't have one. She avoided humans because there were too many of them. If she really started a fight, she would find it troublesome. Hence, she would rather cause trouble at the front to prevent trouble at the back. How could a person who was so selfish suddenly have a conscience? There's no benefit for us to continue fighting like this. Let's discuss and come up with a satisfactory outcome. What do you think, Weishi? The old man saw that she did not do anything to ordinary humans, so he sat there and negotiated with her. Jiao Tong, Shisheng shouted outside. Jiao Tong stumbled in and lowered his head as he walked to Shisheng. He didn't look at the room full of purifying demons. You talked to them. Shisheng stood up. Huh. Jiao Tong was surprised. Me? Master? Aye. How could he have the guts to talk to these devil cleansers? Don't worry and talk boldly. Record down whoever dares to cause trouble, and wait for me to come back. Shisheng waved his hand. No, Master. Master, is this really okay? He's just a small fry. Weishi. The person beside the old man could not stand her anger. Don't be too arrogant. Shisheng opened the door, and light shone in from outside, elongating her figure. Her voice floated over. If you want to talk, then don't talk. If you don't want to talk, then fight. I have no objections. That person's expression froze. Cunning Child had no choice but to negotiate in front of the group of demon cleansing masters in fear. Although his performance was a little unpresentable, when it came to the content of the negotiation, Jiao Tong would not give in at all. If there was a disagreement, he would use Shisheng. After 10 days of negotiation, hundreds of agreements were drawn up. When it was time to sign the final agreement, Shisheng naturally had to be present. Shisheng flipped through the agreement and looked at the old man. One last condition. The old man nodded, indicating for her to continue. Shisheng said word by word, Kill Mu Yi. The representative of the Mu family panicked. He slammed the table and stood up, shouting, "Weishi, what do you mean?" "I mean it literally. Don't you understand?" Shisheng twirled her pen. "When Mu Yi dies, I will sign this agreement." "You." The old man raised his hand and signaled for that person to shut up. He ordered in a deep voice, "Go and bring Mu Yi here." Since he was not one of their own, the other aristocratic families who participated in the negotiation immediately sent people from the Devil Cleansing Alliance to capture Mu Yi. Even if Mu Yi could run, he could not escape from so many people. In the end, he was brought to Shisheng. Mu Yi had not been having a good time recently. After such a thing happened, Xuefei and Nana were still causing trouble in front of him all day. Therefore, he looked very dispirited at this moment. "Weishi." Mu Yi looked at the person above, his eyes almost popping out. "What do you want?" Shisheng ignored Mu Yi's shouts. "I only want a corpse, not a living person." She could not kill the male lead, so why would she want a living person? #today's vote #vote. Ah. Chapter 1285. The old man looked at the people below. Who would do it? No matter who did it, they would have to break off relations with the Mu family. The hall was silent for a long time. Someone stood up. "I'll do it." Everyone let out a sigh of relief and immediately gave up the place. "What do you want?" Mu Yi struggled violently. "Let me go." He clearly knew the plot and should be the final winner. But why did it turn out like this? Why? "I'm sorry, young Master Mu. I did it for everyone." That person took the knife that was handed over. "I don't want to die. Let me go. Let me go." Mu Ye's eyes were filled with fear. He didn't want to die here. That person closed his eyes and stabbed Mu Ye's chest. Blood splattered. That person suddenly fell down. Mu Ye's face was covered in blood. He knew that it wasn't his blood. A figure stood in front of him. It's Mu Ye's familiar. The familiar helped Mu Yi up and untied his hands. Then it ran towards the nearest person. In a small space, various star charts were unfolded. Colorful lights flowed in the room. "Kill her, kill Weishi." Mu Yi roared at the demonic familiar as he blocked the people attacking him. The familiar heard Mu Yi's order and immediately ran toward Shisheng. Shisheng sat there calmly, twirling the pen in her hand. She tilted her head and saw the familiar running over. The flow of time seemed to have slowed down. No one stopped the familiar. They were all lucky. Maybe they could kill her? Bang. The flow of time returned to normal. The familiar's body slammed on the table. The table was torn apart. The paper flew into the air and fell on the familiar's body, staining it red. As for that person, he was still sitting there, watching with a calm expression. If the master didn't die, the familiar wouldn't die. But if the familiar was injured, it wouldn't be able to move. Everyone rushed forward and caught the familiar. Their sliver of hope had already vanished into thin air at this moment. Without the familiar, Mu Yi was quickly caught. The old man glanced at Shisheng. The latter raised his eyes slightly and looked at Mu Yi. Mu Yi was forced to kneel on the ground. The blood on his face made him look ferocious. His eyes were filled with hatred. It was this woman who ruined his plan. "Do it," the old man ordered. This time it was the person behind Mu Yi. A long needle condensed from light pierced through Mu Yi's chest. The long needles scattered in the air, leaving only the bloody hole in his chest. Mu Yi's eyes widened. She raised her hand and stretched it towards the Shisheng. Halfway through, her hand fell limply. The person holding him down let go, and his body fell to the ground. Everyone looked at his corpse in silence. Sometimes, some people had to be sacrificed for the greater good. When they came back to their senses and went to look for Shisheng, they only found a signed page on the chair. Everyone collected all the papers. Several of them were stained with blood. From then on, the demon cleansers and the evil demons split half of the world. A long time later, the purifying devil masters would call this treaty the unending law. Shisheng didn't tell Mu Yi about his background. If he didn't want to know, she wouldn't tell him. She brought Mu Yi up the mountain. The sky was full of stars, and the Milky Way was clearly visible. Shisheng and Mu Yi were lying flat on the mountaintop. Little breath. Muyu propped himself up and looked at her from the side. Yes. Can you change back to your original appearance for me to see? Muyu pinched Shisheng's hair. Shisheng. If you change back, you'll be beastly. Little breath, I want to see. Shisheng sighed. Her black hair turned red in his hands. Even under the faint starlight, it couldn't hide the dazzling color. Muyu pinched her hair and sniffed it. Then he slowly bent down and kissed her from her neck up inch by inch. Every kiss was very careful and gentle. When he captured her lips, the drizzling kiss suddenly became intense. The night wind blew, but it couldn't cool down the scorching heat. The shadows of the trees swayed, covering their entangled figures. Shisheng carried Muyu and placed him in the middle of the array. Muyu's eyes were tightly shut. He seemed to be asleep. Shisheng sat beside him and held his hand. Muyu's fiery red hair fell on their hands. Shisheng sat quietly for a while. Then he let go of Muyu's hand and got up to walk out of the array. She stood outside the array and looked at the figure in the middle of the array from afar. She took out a dagger and slit her wrist. Then, she dripped her blood on the stone along the array. She reversed the blood contract. She activated the array with the blood of the contracted person. After walking around the array, Shisheng had lost too much blood. His face was frighteningly pale. His body swayed and he couldn't stand steadily. She stood beside Muyu. She didn't treat her wound. Blood dripped to the ground. She made a gesture with her hands. Then she opened her red lips slightly. Her light voice spread in the night. It was an ancient and awkward spell. Wind rose around the array and spun around it. Her fiery red hair flew into the air. When the first stone lit up, it was like a spark that set the entire array on fire. Spiritual chi was emitted from the stones. The light of the array soared into the sky. When the light rose halfway, it suddenly turned back and entered Shisheng's body. She changed her hand gestures quickly. The light slowly overflowed from her body and covered the array in all directions. Shisheng's pale face became even paler. His forehead was covered with cold sweat. Her voice was slow and fast. Muyu, who had his eyes closed, had a pained expression on his face. As time passed, the light of the array suddenly began to dissipate. Shisheng looked at the dissipating array in astonishment. In just a second, she made another gesture. The dissipating light of the array slowly condensed. It spun and shrank. In the end, it only covered Shisheng and Muyu. All the light began to divide into two beams. One beam entered Shisheng's body, and the other entered Muyu's body. Darkness returned to the world. Shisheng's body went soft. He fell to the ground. His vision turned black. His body slowly fell toward Muyu. Shisheng didn't know how long she had slept. Her consciousness was a little blurry. She seemed to see the busy doctors in front of her. She was surrounded by white. It was so white that it was uncomfortable. The doctors were discussing something seriously. Their lips opened and closed, but she couldn't hear what they were saying. Shisheng was shocked. She opened her eyes and found herself lying in Muyu's arms. Xiaoxi, you're awake? Shisheng looked at him blankly. The next second, she reached out and hugged him. Her face was pressed against his chest. She could hear his heartbeat. The feeling she had just now disappeared. Xiaoxi. Muyu was a little out of breath. Where are we? Shisheng buried her face in his chest. Her voice was a little muffled. At home. Muyu replied softly. Shisheng looked up and scanned the surroundings. It was indeed her and Muyu's room. Kiss me. Xiaoxi, you. Hurry up, Shisheng urged. Muyu had no choice but to lower his head and kiss her. Their lips and teeth touched. Shisheng let go of him after a while. You scared me. Chapter 1286. I slept for a few days. 5 days. Muyu couldn't describe how he felt when he woke up and saw her unconscious. He felt as though someone had dug his heart out of his body. Shisheng touched his wrist. It was wrapped in a layer of gauze, but it didn't hurt when he pinched it. It was probably almost healed. Did you succeed? Shisheng turned to look at Muyu. She wasn't sure if he had succeeded in the end. Muyu stared at him. His gaze made Shisheng feel a little guilty. After a while Muyu said, You'll know when you try. Shisheng rolled his eyes. Lie down. Muyu. Muyu wished that he could take back his words. For the next few days, Sheng was recuperating. Muyu stayed by her side, as though he was afraid that she would disappear if he turned his head. Stop fooling around. It's time to get up. Sheng pushed the person on top of him away. Muyu hugged her and refused to let go. Sleep for a while more. I've been lying down for so many days. I want to move around. You can move around in bed too. Sheng's mouth twitched. Is it the activity that I'm thinking of? Muyu tilted his head. His silver hair swept across Sheng's chest, making him feel numb. Little she, what are you thinking of? I'm not thinking of anything. Sheng looked serious. She couldn't win against him now. Let go, or I'll hit you. Muyu felt wronged and slowly let go. He got out of bed first and handed Sheng his clothes. He watched as she changed out of her pajamas. His gaze was calm and he didn't have any desire. She didn't know what he was looking at. Let me help you. Muyu suddenly went forward and helped Sheng button her clothes. What's wrong? Sheng held his hand. Muyu's hand froze. He said in a low voice, I'm afraid that you'll disappear if I blink. What happened last time must have scared him. Sheng sighed. No, I won't leave you alone. Muyu raised his head to look at her, his eyes reflecting her serious face. The two of them looked at each other silently for half a minute. Muyu lowered his head first, took away her hand, buttoned up all the buttons, and tidied up his messy collar. He tilted his head and kissed her on the cheek, then quickly left the room. After the door closed, Sheng reached out to hold the cabinet next to him. Host, are you alright? I'm fine. I don't know where you got the method to reverse the blood contract, but the price is too high. Why don't you accept the side mission? Even if I accept it, will I be able to find a solution? Buttface, don't play word games with me. Why is it playing word games? Alright, the host was right. Completing the side mission might not necessarily give him a way to break the soul sacrifice. But there was a 50% chance that he could get it. Why didn't you tell him this time? The system changed the topic. He's not going to die. Why tell him? Sheng didn't care. It was just that her body would hurt for a period of time every few days. This was the power of the backfire. She could still bear this pain. The most important thing was that Muyu was different. He was very sensitive and fragile. Let's just leave it at that. After the purifying demon school was rebuilt, classes resumed. Muyu seemed to like attending classes, so Sheng naturally let him do as he pleased. Sheng, the demon, walked around the school openly, and the students were very scared. The school staff came forward to discuss with Sheng, asking him not to walk around in front of the students for no reason. It would scare them. Sheng was in despair. He could only pick up his old profession, which was to dig holes. Perhaps because she was provoked, she started to dig holes in a literary style. Of course, she still dug holes that made people want to die. 1 word, torture. 2 words, torture. 3 words, death of the protagonist. Either there was no ending, or if there was an ending, either the female lead died, or the male lead died. Otherwise, both the male and female leads died. This was considered good. The scariest thing was that she would let the protagonist run away with the supporting male. Otherwise, the protagonist would run away with the supporting female. Later on, the readers found that she started to write in a funny style again. She was happy at the beginning, and insisted on torturing the protagonist. Still leaving flowers. Do you have a grudge against the protagonist? Can't you let them have a proper relationship? Bandit, I think Cun. Which book in Dada has a proper relationship? If it's not a conspiracy, it's a trick. Otherwise, it's the supporting characters who make trouble. I'm here to read Dada's plot, not to watch the protagonist fall in love. Hua Jianan, didn't you guys notice? Dada's supporting characters are all showing off their affection. Dada just doesn't let the protagonist fall in love. Returning to the West. Seems like it. Beauty is beauty. I seem to have discovered something terrible. Will I be killed? Flying old-time catkins. Let's eat this dog food. There were countless similar comments. Later on, everyone got used to her way of showing off their affection. The correct way to read a novel was to treat the supporting characters as the protagonists. There was no sense of contradiction at all. Muyu didn't live long in this world. He had the devil's blood flowing in his body, but his body was human. It was eroded by the devil's blood all year round. Although he could live because of Sheng, it was definitely not a good feeling. One day, the readers found that there was an extra completed novel under Sheng's column. It wasn't serialized. It was added overnight. It was called, I'm Willing to Accompany You in Life and Death. In the abyss full of thorns, darkness follows like a shadow. You are the only guide. The inscription was very elegant, but the content was very plain. It recorded all kinds of trivial things. There was no third person in the whole book. It was surprisingly warm. It was completely different from the style of her previous novels. Between the lines, one could see how much the female protagonist doted on the male protagonist. There was a row of small words at the end. The end of life is not the end. The next starting point will be as promised. After this book there were no more updates. Everything came to an end here. Sheng returned to the system space. After calmly moving his hands and feet, he walked to the screen. The system immediately refreshed his information. Name, Sheng morality points. 393000 health points. 65 contribution points. 84400 mission level. A mission score. 79 hidden mission. Incomplete hidden mission reward. None side mission. Complete side mission reward. 2000 contribution points item list. Queen's Crown. Ghost King's Heart. Dark Knight. Kirin Blood. Phoenix Tail Feather. Sheng was silent. Muyu's hidden mission was the uncrowned king, but it didn't seem to be completed in the end. Host, how could you do it? Why wouldn't I do it? It's more painful for him to live. Sheng's expression was calm. I've seen how cold-blooded you can be. Even if you said you wanted to abandon Feng Ci immediately, I wouldn't be surprised. The system saw that Sheng wanted to do it, so it immediately started the transmission. Do you want to enter the next world? Transmission begins. Asterisk, the 37th world ended. As for whether or not to write an epilogue, I'll tell you very seriously. No. Don't ask me why. It's because my CI was killed by Sheng. I'm not happy, so I won't write one. Chapter 1287. Sheng leaned against the mountain wall and recalled the original owner's memories. The original owner was beaten up by Bayan. Then she ran out and bumped into a beastman outside. After that, she never encountered another beastman. The original owner casually ran for a distance before encountering a few females who ran out of nowhere. Before she could react, she was pulled to the mountain by a male in heat who caught up from behind. Because she was too noisy, she was knocked out by a male. Then there was no more. So, how did the original owner die? Sheng felt that the person the original owner bumped into was very suspicious. However, the sky was so dark at that time, and the original owner was crying so hard that she didn't see who it was at all. How should he solve this? Sheng pondered for a long time but couldn't figure it out. She simply didn't want to think about it anymore. If it really didn't work, she would destroy the White Tiger tribe together. The murderer would always be inside. Sheng took out a clean set of clothes and put them on. This beast robe was empty and especially short. Sheng left the cave and walked towards the White Tiger tribe. Everyone was still resting at this time. Sheng avoided the beastmen guarding the beastmen and sneaked in. When he passed by Bayan's cave, he heard moaning sounds inside. Sheng was speechless. Sheng had already seen people having sex in public. He really didn't understand the beastman's world. Lin Qiqi was frightened today. Bayan was probably trying to calm her down. Sheng walked silently to the cave he lived in. Oh no, Bai Dazhuang and the rest are all dead. Early in the morning, a sharp cry resounded throughout the entire White Tiger tribe. Sheng crossed her legs and lay on her stone bed. Hearing the gradually clamor outside, she slowly got up. Last night, she heard moaning the entire night. She lived beside Bayan. The soundproofing was very bad. Furthermore, they didn't close the door. This world was really scary. She moved to the entrance of the cave and looked outside. The caves were one level higher. Many beastmen gathered below and were discussing the dead. Suddenly, they saw a strangely dressed beastman appear in the cave. These people's voices were stuck in their throats. That's the princess? What is the princess wearing? I've never seen such beautiful animal skin. She looks so beautiful. The people from the cave next door also came out. Bayan came out first. His upper body was naked, and there was a piece of animal skin around his waist. However, it was not very long. From a bad angle, one could even see some strange things. The corner of Shisheng's mouth twitched. He glanced at the males below. Compared to Bayan, these orcs were much simpler. They were just woven with straw. Beast skin was not something that anyone could wear. Shisheng face-bombed. This plane was toxic. Bayan was tall and burly, and he could be considered handsome. However, compared to the group of orcs below, he was definitely the good-looking type. Bayan asked in a low voice, "What happened?" The people below shifted their gaze away from Shisheng and ordered several orcs to carry up the white tiger corpses. Bai Dezhuang and the others are all dead. One of them was the one that Shisheng had stabbed to death last night. Bayan glanced at the corpses. Where are the captives? They're all gone. The orcs shook their heads. Leader, could it be the leopard tribe next door? They've been coveting us for a long time. Yesterday, I even saw them loitering outside our tribe. Today, such a thing happened. Leader, I think it was the leopard tribe who did it. Only the leopard tribe could go against their white tiger tribe in the vicinity. Take revenge for Dezhuang and the rest. Revenge, revenge, we have to take revenge. Everyone roared excitedly. Bayan scolded them twice before they quietened down. Did you find anything at the scene? An orc threw some things on the ground. I only found these. I didn't find anything else. Bayan jumped down and took a look. His brows furrowed. Isn't this Ling Xi's? Lin Qiqi had come out at some point in time. She was wearing a snow-white leather skirt. Her skin was fair, and she was petite and cute. She stood beside Bayan and was pointing at something that looked like a hairpin on the ground. Although it was called a hairpin, it was actually just a piece of wood. However, there was something carved on it. Bayan picked it up and took a look. His eyes suddenly darkened. He turned to look at the cave entrance beside him. The first person he saw was Shisheng, who was standing at the entrance of the cave. Her clothes were too eye-catching. It was difficult not to see her. The other orcs had never seen clothes made of this material, but Bayan had. When he met Lin Qiqi, she was also wearing similar clothes. Although the style was too different, the material was similar. Where did she come from? Lin Qiqi was shocked when she saw the clothes on Shisheng's body. She had been here for so long and knew that there were no humans in this world. Although there were cities built by orcs, they were still in the primitive stage. There was no such thing as cloth at all. Where did she come from? Could it be that other people had transmigrated here like her? Or could it be that there were actually humans in this world but she didn't know it yet? Lin Qiqi's thoughts spun, but she couldn't grasp the main point no matter what. She couldn't ask directly and could only size up Shisheng. Bayan didn't have any patience for this sister of his now. He raised the hairpin and questioned Shisheng. Lingxi, what's going on? Shisheng sat on a rock outside the cave and crossed his legs. How would I know what's going on? She had only killed one. Who the hell knew who killed the others? Bayan frowned. Why did your things appear at the scene? Shisheng smirked. Of course he ran there on his own with long legs. Lingxi. Bayan berated. Where were you last night? What did you do? Shisheng supported his face with his hand and looked melancholic. I don't know. You interrupted me. He did hit her yesterday, but he didn't believe that he interrupted her. Lingxi, don't pester me endlessly. Tell me clearly. Where were you last night? Shisheng looked up at Bayan and asked calmly. Does my whereabouts have anything to do with this matter? Can you deduce who the murderer is from where I was? Or do you think that I'm the murderer? Bayan's face was full of righteousness. Your things appeared on the mountain. I have to ask clearly. What he meant was that he couldn't bend the law for her just because she was a princess and not ask anything about her. I don't know. Shisheng held his face. Why don't you let me hit you? Perhaps I'll remember. The orcs were speechless. Was the princess crazy? In the group of orcs, a male orc suddenly raised his hand. I saw the princess. The princess ran towards the back of the mountain. Asterisk, the words used were normal, so don't talk to me about orc culture. I don't understand the world of orcs. I don't understand. Chapter 1288. Everyone's gazes, including Shi Sheng, were focused on the beast man. Shi Sheng's eyes scanned the orc twice. In the original owner's memory, this orc was a coward. Bayan asked him to stand up. Tell me. The orc fell to his knees and stammered as he recounted what happened last night. I was on duty last night. I saw the princess run out and run to the back of the mountain crying. Princess. I don't dare to call her that. What the orc didn't say was that the princess was usually so fierce and would throw a tantrum whenever she displeased him. He didn't dare to offend the princess. Bayan frowned. That was probably the time when she ran out after he hit her. He gave the order this afternoon that all orcs were not allowed to go near the back of the mountain at night. Why did she run there? So what if you saw her? Shi Sheng broke the silence and said casually. The orc trembled and lowered his head, not daring to look at Bayan or Shi Sheng. Where did you find this? Bayan asked the orc who handed her the hairpin. It was under De Zhuang. The orc hesitated for a moment. The orcs were in an uproar. They all knew why De Zhuang went to the back of the mountain. How could the princess's hairpin be under De Zhuang? De Zhuang and the princess, the orcs' imaginations were abnormally big. Soon, they came up with hundreds of thousands of words that could not be described. They looked at Shi Sheng strangely. Bayan threw the hairpin on the ground and glared at Shi Sheng coldly. What did you see last night? I'm not telling you. Shi Sheng grinned. Bayan was furious. Lingxi, do you still see me as your brother? You say that as if you still see me as your sister. Shi Sheng wanted to say that they were both beasts. Don't say such things. It's inappropriate. The host got into character so quickly. You admitted that you're a beast so quickly. Bah. You're the beast. Buttface is also a kind of beast. If you continue to attack me like this, I'm really going to turn on you. How shameless can you be? Show me your face. I'm going offline. I don't want to see her. It took Shi Sheng only a few seconds to scold the system, but Bayan's expression kept changing. Leader, De Zhuang's death was different from the other orcs. The orc who handed him the hairpin spoke again. Bayan suppressed the anger in his heart and went to check on De Zhuang. The tiger's wound on the ground. A sharp weapon had pierced through the tiger's chest. It was clean and there were no other injuries on the tiger's body. The rest of their bodies were covered in bloody wounds. Bayan examined De Zhuang carefully. They were beastmen. Although they could transform, they would still revert to their beast forms when fighting and use the most primitive fighting methods. But what could cause such a wound on De Zhuang's body? Bayan didn't know, but Lin Qiqi knew that it had to be at least a dagger. No, a sword. The dagger was too short and couldn't pierce through. Only the length of the sword could pierce through. The wound was very neat and smooth. It was a very sharp sword. However, there was no iron in this world. At least, she had never seen one. Lin Qiqi's gaze couldn't help but look at Shi Sheng again. The clothes she was wearing and the way De Zhuang died made Lin Qiqi wonder if she had met a human. Take care of the princess. Bayan stood up and instructed. Follow me to the back of the mountain to take a look. We'll discuss the rest when I come back. Yes. Shi Sheng didn't comment and watched as Bayan left with the orcs. Lin Qiqi stood rooted to the ground and looked up at Shi Sheng. Shi Sheng's lips tugged into a smile before she turned and entered the cave. The orcs outside were discussing animatedly. The entrance of Shi Sheng's cave was guarded and no one could enter. Of course, there were exceptions, such as the female lead. Lin Qiqi bent down and entered the cave. The light in the cave immediately dimmed. Shi Sheng lay on the bed and crossed his legs. When the light dimmed, she tilted her head and looked at the entrance of the cave. Lin Qiqi looked a little like the obedient girl next door. She wasn't very beautiful. At least, compared to those female leads who were devastatingly beautiful, she was considered a pretty girl from a humble family. However, her skin was very fair, and she was wearing a white leather skirt. Her upper body was also sewn with white fur. It blocked what should be blocked and revealed her belly button. Her waist was fair and slender, and could not be held in one hand. Shi Sheng clicked his tongue. No wonder so many orcs wanted to do indescribable sports with her. Lingxi. Lin Qiqi stood at the entrance of the cave and called out before walking in. Shisheng ignored her and just looked at her. Lin Qiqi felt a little uncomfortable being stared at. Lingxi, I don't blame you for what happened yesterday. Bian hit you a little too much. I'll tell him. D***am an idiot. Are you here to show off in front of I how much authority you have in front of that idiot brother? The above content came from Shisheng's imitation of the original owner's thoughts. Shisheng's heart didn't fluctuate at all. She replayed yesterday's events in her mind. Yesterday, an orc from the White Tiger tribe had a conflict with the Black Snake tribe on the mountain next door. At that time, the female lead and the original owner were both present. Since the two sides had a conflict, they naturally had to fight. The Black Snake tribe had many people. No, they had many beasts. The White Tiger tribe couldn't stop them and could only run. The female lead had a setting that she would definitely fall while running. So be it if she fell, but she even brought the original owner with her. Both of them fell to the ground. The Black Snake tribe behind them chased after them fiercely. The original owner subconsciously abandoned the female lead and ran. In the plot, the snake on the mountain next door almost ate the female lead. It wasn't that kind of eating. If the male lead was a step later, the female lead's chastity would probably be lost. From then on, there would be another one in the harem. Yes, there was nothing wrong with choosing her own life between someone else's life and her own. Lin Qiqi saw that Shisheng didn't react and felt a little nervous. Although this Lingxi was pampered in the past, her emotions were written all over her face. She was a very easy person to see through. But today she actually couldn't understand what she was thinking. Lingxi. Lin Qiqi called out again. Shisheng turned over and sat up. He placed his right foot on the ground and bent his left foot. He placed his hand on his knee and sat like a gangster. What are you doing? Lin Qiqi frowned and swept her gaze across her body. She asked, Lingxi, don't be angry with your brother. Did you see something yesterday? Shisheng tapped his knee with his fingertips. What does what I saw have to do with you? Lin Qiqi acted like an experienced person. This matter concerns the White Tiger tribe. If you really saw something strange, don't hide it. It won't be good for either of us. Shisheng didn't answer. Lin Qiqi said earnestly, Lingxi, you don't want anything bad to happen to our tribe, right? Let's not talk about whether you saw it or not for now. Tell me first, who gave you the clothes you're wearing? #hashtag I'm looking for 5 colored plum flavored votes today # it's the weekend. Monthly votes 2,000 plus chapters. Monthly votes of 2,000 plus chapters. Chapter 1289. In the end he was here to ask about the clothes? Damn it. Then, why did you say it so righteously? You made it seem like you were really thinking for the White Tiger tribe. I almost believed you. It's none of your business. After complaining, Shisheng said these words indifferently. Lingxi, did you see a human? It's none of your business. Lin Qiqi's face darkened. No matter what she asked, Shisheng dismissed her with these words. In the end, she couldn't continue asking. Or perhaps she was afraid of revealing some flaws. Lin Qiqi pinched her clothes and left aggrievedly. Why are you aggrieved? I didn't do anything to you. It's really. Not long after, she heard Bian return. After a commotion outside, Bian suddenly rushed in angrily and shouted at Shisheng. Lingxi, you bullied Qiqi again? Shisheng was speechless. Wait a long time. When did I bully the female lead? Can you be reasonable? Oh right. Beasts are unreasonable. Come out. Seeing that Shisheng was unmoved, Bian became even angrier. Go and apologize to Qiqi. Do you think I'll go out just because you want me to? Shisheng rolled his eyes. She didn't do anything to the female lead. Why should she apologize? There were cat biscuits. Bian, I'm fine. Lin Qiqi stuck her head in from outside and explained. I was just blinded by sand just now. I'm fine now. Bian turned his head and his expression softened. Qiqi, don't protect her. I have to teach her a good lesson today. It really has nothing to do with Lingxi. Lin Qiqi was a little anxious. In the end, Her eyes turned even redder as if she was about to cry. The female lead was crying. How could this be? Bayan hurriedly went out to hug her and coax her. Don't be afraid. Although she's my younger sister, I won't allow her to bully you. With me around, she won't dare to rebel. How would you know if I dare to overturn the heavens? Shisheng interrupted, ruining the mood. Lingxi, I'll deal with you later. Bayan glared at her angrily and jumped into the cave next door with Lin Qiqi in his arms. I'm so scared. I'm in it. After a while, Shisheng heard a voice from next door. Was he coaxing her into bed? You're amazing, brother. Can't you find a place with no one around? The soundproofing is really bad. She was still a minor. Shisheng could only hypnotize himself. Proper orc culture was definitely not like this. This was a broken world. It was all fake. It was all fake. Shisheng waited for the music to end before the music finally stopped. Bayan didn't come over. Instead, he summoned a few generals of the White Tiger tribe for a meeting. Although the White Tiger tribe was called a tribe, there weren't many tigers. They only occupied a mountain. Most of the troops lived halfway up the mountain, and the back of the mountain was actually the peak. Bayan was brave and good at fighting and was famous in this area. He was the ideal mating partner of many females. After all, since they could transform, there was no such thing as being unable to mate across species. Of course, most beastmen couldn't accept cross-species mating. After all, it would affect their offspring. However, this didn't stop the females from considering Bayan as their ideal mating partner. Even if they couldn't get his body, couldn't they just fantasize about him? Lingxi, it's time to eat. A beastman brought food into the cave. At noon, they didn't bring her anything. She didn't know if they forgot or Bayan ordered them to. Shisheng smelled blood before the beastmen came close. The beastmen put down the food and went out. Shisheng could vaguely see that it was a piece of bloody meat in the dim light outside. As for what kind of meat it was, sorry, she couldn't recognize it. They actually let me eat it raw. Carnivorous beastmen eat raw meat. The system appeared, rejoicing in his misfortune. But face, we need to talk about life. No, host, I'm very busy. I won't talk about it. The system immediately went offline. Retarded butt face. Shisheng sat for a while and smelled barbecued meat outside. She walked to the cave and looked outside. There was a fire in the distance. Two figures sat in front of the fire. One was big and one was small. It was easy to tell who they were. Shisheng pursed her lips and looked at her bloody dinner. She decided to eat some fruit. She could forget about being treated like a female lead. Cannon fodder was so pitiful. Before she finished eating, Bayan came. The sky was completely dark. There was only a fire in the distance, swaying like a ghost fire. Shisheng almost stabbed Bayan to death when he entered the room without making a sound. Bayan sat down on a stone bench in the cave. Next to her was a table with a bloody dinner placed on it. Are you on a hunger strike? Bayan looked at the untouched dinner and asked. Shisheng bit the sour fruit and chewed it. Tell me. Bayan was enraged. Her sister used to be so obedient and sensible. How did she become so unreasonable? I went to the mountain. Some beastmen climbed up from the cliff and killed De Zhuang. But you still have to tell me. Why did you go to the mountain? De Zhuang died in a different way. She also had her hairpin. Like the beastmen outside, Bayan suspected that it had something to do with Shisheng. I don't know. I was beaten silly by you. Shisheng threw away the fruit core. Bayan couldn't breathe. After a long time he said, Lingxi, you weren't like this in the past. Shisheng smiled. You weren't like this in the past either. Before the female lead came, Bayan was definitely a good brother. Even if the original owner did something wrong, he would tolerate the original owner unconditionally. Now that the female lead was here, Bayan would throw a tantrum at the original owner. It would be strange if the original owner could tolerate it. You're targeting Qiqi everywhere. Qiqi didn't bicker with you, but you're still pestering her endlessly. Do you think you're right? I don't know. Whether she was wrong or not was the original owner's business. She just wanted to do a mission and break up the couple, so that she wouldn't take the blame. Bayan was speechless. Bayan stood up and said firmly, apologize to Qiqi tomorrow. I'll let bygones be bygones. Shisheng was speechless. I won't take the blame for the original owner. Furthermore, I didn't do anything just now. Who knew why the female lead was crying? I definitely won't take the blame. Bayan didn't hear Shisheng's reply and couldn't help but raise his voice. Did you hear that? I'm not going. Your wings have hardened. I can't control you anymore, right? Bayan slammed the stone table. The meat on the stone table was shaken to the ground and rolled into a circle of dust. That's right. I can fly now. You don't have to worry about me. Not only could I fly, but I could also fly. Show me how you're doing. Bayan was furious. If I fly just because you tell me to, how embarrassing would that be? Beg me. If you beg me, I'll fly for you to see. Bayan was speechless. He was so angry. Bayan pointed at Shisheng for a long time and didn't say anything. He left the cave angrily. The narrow cave immediately became much more spacious. The air seemed to circulate. However, the air was filled with the smell of blood. Shisheng looked at the cave and sighed in melancholy. The life of this primitive person wasn't easy either. Chapter 1290. Shisheng woke up in the middle of the night, because she had to pee. She wondered how this place could solve her physiological needs. She recalled how the host solved her physiological needs. She fell silent. As a person with status, how could he do such a thing? Shisheng lifted her skirt and walked out of the cave. Maybe because Bayan said that Dazhuang's death had nothing to do with her, the orcs guarding outside had left. She jumped out of the cave and walked toward the woods in the distance. Shisheng lifted her skirt and stood up after finally settling the most important matter in her life. Rustle, rustle, rustle. No. Not here. Ah. Intermittent sounds came from deeper in the woods. Shisheng. She held the tree trunk and was silent for a moment. If she went to wake Bayan up to catch them in the act, would she beat her up? The one with the female lead must be Feng Yan. The second male lead, the orc that the host liked. Shisheng was too lazy to watch the female lead and the second male lead. She lifted her skirt and walked out of the woods and returned to her cave. Bayan's cave was quiet. She didn't know how the female lead sneaked out. That was awesome, the female lead. Shisheng lay for a while and heard a sound coming from outside. So fast. The second male lead couldn't do it. As an orc, it was normal for him to last a few hours, right? Have you ever seen animals copulate for a few hours? Ma Daokue. The system searched the database and read the note. This species has been extinct for a long time. Host, what do you read all day? Can't you read something good for your health? I read everything. Shisheng crossed her legs. But face, I know you're not educated. I've never been to school. That's why you're so stupid. Master, don't stop me. I'm going to kill the host. Early the next morning, Shisheng wanted to find water to wash up. But after walking around, she remembered that there was a shortage of water here. The water they drank was spring water from the mountain. But if they wanted to take a bath or wash their faces, they had to go to the river at the foot of the mountain to get water. It would take more than an hour to go back and forth. Therefore, these beastmen usually went to wash once every few days. Shisheng put his hands on his hips in melancholy. He couldn't live like this anymore. Lingxi, why are you standing here? An orc had been standing behind her for a long time. But the Shisheng had no intention of moving aside. He had no choice but to speak up. He was still waiting to fetch water to feed his little brat. Shisheng turned around and glanced at him. He stepped aside and watched the orc leave with the water. Soon, a few more beastmen came to fetch water. After these beastmen finished, there was only a little water left in the small pond. A delicate and pretty young man hurriedly ran over and looked into the pool. He was immediately annoyed. I'm late. Shisheng suddenly stuck out his head and asked, "Is there any other water source nearby?" The young man was startled. Lingxi, why are you sitting there? Shisheng was sitting beside a shrub beside the pool. As long as one did not pay attention, they would not be able to see her. Shisheng said matter-of-factly, "This is the only place we can sit." She didn't say anything again. Her sudden appearance scared the beast man to death. The young man composed himself and answered Shisheng's question. There is a water source nearby, but it's occupied by a very strange beastman. The beastmen around it can't beat him. Strange. How strange? I don't know. I've never seen him before. The chief has seen him before. Lingxi, you can ask the chief. The young man looked behind him. Lingxi, I'll go back first. Shisheng waved his hand. Shisheng sat for a while, then went to a remote area and sat on his sword to go to the river. The river water was very clear. Shisheng washed up and caught 2 fish to roast. If she ate that fruit again, she would vomit. From time to time, one could see beastmen coming to the river to fetch water. Shisheng was sitting by the river roasting fish. Naturally, he attracted a lot of attention. Isn't this the little princess of the White Tiger tribe? Why are you eating fish? And cooked fish? Is there something wrong with your brain? A loud voice sounded from behind. Shisheng turned his head. Not far away, there were 2 female. No, female beastmen. Their skin was very dark, as if they came from Africa. They were wearing leather skirts sewn with fur. The beastman standing slightly in front with a flower on her head was the daughter of the Black Bear tribe's chief. She was called Xiong Sanmei. She looked okay, but she was very dark. As the saying goes, darkness destroys everything. The other beastman was Xiong Sanmei's follower. She did whatever Xiong Sanmei said and could basically ignore her. Xiong Sanmei and the host always argued every time they met. In the past, it was because the host was prettier than Xiong Sanmei and had a nicer name. Later, it was because Xiong Sanmei fell in love with Bayan. The host said that Xiong Sanmei didn't look at herself and still wanted to covet her brother. I'm talking to you. What kind of tigress are you looking at? Xiong Sanmei put her hands on her hips and looked like a shrew. She looked up and down Shisheng. What are you wearing? Shisheng was wearing normal clothes. The beastmen who were fetching water were very curious, but no one dared to ask because of Lingxi's fierce reputation. Clothes. What clothes? Xiong Sanmei was very curious. Her clothes looked really good. Shisheng. How could she explain it clearly? Just shut up. Shisheng didn't say anything. Xiong Sanmei immediately became angry. I haven't seen you for a few days. Why are you pretending to be refined? Your brother Feng Yin isn't here. Shisheng. Even Xiong Sanmei knew that the host liked Feng Yin. Why didn't brother Feng Yin know? Shisheng didn't want to talk. She just wanted to eat fish quietly. She was starving. So Shisheng turned his head and ignored Xiong Sanmei, who knew that Xiong Sanmei would run over and forget about the clothes. Tigress, why are you ignoring me? Could it be that he was rejected? The host and Xiong Sanmei didn't have much of a grudge. At most, they would bicker when they met, but they didn't fight. In the human world, this was a different way of showing friendship. Was I really rejected? Xiong Sanmei laughed with her hands on her hips. Ha 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 ha, tigress, I told you not to be so fierce. Shisheng. Wait for I to finish eating fish. Seeing that Shisheng was ignoring her, Xiong Sanmei scratched her face. This tigress wouldn't be shocked, right? When did she not talk back when she said that before? Asterisk, this is a fake group. Mubai, Jingjing is mine. Iron Sword. What do you mean yours? You instantly kneeled. Mubai, what's wrong with kneeling? It's better than what you did. Iron Sword, I'll kill you. Mubai, come on, come on. This gentleman is scared of you. Iron Sword Master. Mubai, hey, if you have votes, vote quickly. Love you guys system. Fancy vote identification completed. Little Fairy. Be reasonable, I didn't even appear. System, you're here now. Little Fairy. Chapter 1291. Tigress? Xiong Sanmei squatted down like a man. Fortunately, her leather skirt was long enough. Otherwise, Shisheng would have seen something he shouldn't have. Didn't I say that you failed in courtship? Why are you looking like you're half dead? There are many male orcs in our tribe. You can choose anyone you want. Shisheng glanced at her. I'm afraid of the dark. Xiong Sanmei was confused. Afraid of the dark? Since when are you afraid of this? Didn't you quarrel with me in the middle of the night? Shisheng. There was a communication barrier. Grilled fish. Xiong Sanmei's gaze followed Shisheng to the grilled fish. She pointed at the iron sword curiously. What's this? It's so shiny. It looks so beautiful. Iron Sword, who was roasting the grill, was speechless. Don't talk. I want to be alone. Tigress, what's this? Why haven't I seen it before? Xiong Sanmei was very curious about the iron sword. Iron weapons hadn't appeared yet. These orcs had never seen such a thing. Shisheng turned the grilled fish over. The sunlight reflected off the iron sword made Xiong Sanmei close her eyes. The aroma of the fish went straight to the tip of her nose. Xiong Sanmei was used to the smell of raw meat. She suddenly realized that it smelled good. There was a fragrance in it that she had never smelled before. Her attention immediately shifted from the iron sword to the grilled fish. Fish could have such a smell. Tigress, where did you get the fire? Xiong Sanmei stared at the grilled fish for a moment. Her attention was attracted by the fire again. Although orcs had shapeshifted, they were naturally afraid of fire. Only in the tribe would they keep the fire. It was difficult to keep the fire. If it went out, they had to exchange it with other tribes. They had to exchange a lot of things. There was a lighter in Shisheng's space. Would she tell him? Of course not. Shisheng continued to ignore Xiong Sanmei. Shisheng didn't say anything. Xiong Sanmei couldn't argue with him alone. She was a little bored. She asked her followers to catch some fish in the river. Shisheng watched as the orcs struggled in the river for a long time, but only managed to catch 2. Xiong Sanmei found a branch nearby and skewered the orc with it. She walked over to the Shisheng and asked, Tigress, can I light a fire? Shisheng took the iron sword away. The fish was ready. Xiong Sanmei did not stand on ceremony and directly put the fish on the fire. She imitated how Shisheng roasted the fish just now and asked in a gossipy manner, Tigress, did Feng Yan reject your proposal? Let me say this once again. I didn't woo Feng Yan, and I wasn't rejected. If you continue to spout nonsense, you'll find your own fire. If you weren't rejected, why are you ignoring me? Are you uncomfortable if I don't quarrel with you? This human Pui, this orc, is he looking for trouble? Xiong Sanmei scratched her face and muttered, It's a little unlike you. Usually he would pinch her whenever he saw her. But now he was suddenly silent and ignoring her. She was very nervous. Shisheng snorted coldly. From now on, I'm going to be a person with class. Xiong Sanmei didn't notice that there was something wrong with Shisheng's words. Her focus was on class. What do you mean by class? Where did you learn those words? Xiong Sanmei's eyes darted around. Is it that Lin Qiqi? Xiong Sanmei liked Bayan, and Lin Qiqi was naturally a thorn in Xiong Sanmei's side. What has it got to do with her? Shisheng rolled his eyes. She often comes up with some strange words. Xiong Sanmei muttered. She charmed brother Bayan. She's a vixen. Don't learn bad things from her. Shisheng was speechless. The word vixen was indeed from ancient times to now. Also, what did she mean by not learning bad things from her? When I'm bad, no one dares to say that they're number one. Do I need to learn from others? When Xiong Sanmei wasn't quarreling, she was a chatterbox. Furthermore, she was a chatterbox whose attention was easily diverted. A second ago, she was still complaining about Lin Qiqi and gnashing her teeth in hatred. In the next second, she jumped onto the grilled fish. Why does this taste different from yours? Xiong Sanmei didn't smell any fragrance from her grilled fish and couldn't help but ask Shisheng curiously. You're beautiful. Shisheng threw away the fish bones and pursed his lips into a smile. In the past, Xiong Sanmei would probably jump up if she heard such words. This time, she didn't have the intention to argue with Shisheng. Instead, she looked at Shisheng's feet. When I came over, I saw you scattering something. Give me some. Shisheng threw the item over. I'll give it to you. Don't find trouble with me in the future. Xiong Sanmei didn't have any bad intentions, but her skills in scolding others were very high. She didn't want to become a member of a scolding club. She wanted to be a high-class beastman. If you don't find trouble with me, why should I find trouble with you? Xiong Sanmei snorted. Shisheng glanced at Xiong Sanmei and left with the iron sword. Xiong Sanmei was still competing with the condiments that Shisheng threw at her and ignored Shisheng. When Shisheng returned to the tribe, it was already past lunchtime. She slowly climbed up the mountain. Lingxi, where did you go? The leader was looking for you this morning. A beastman saw her and reminded her. In the beastman tribe, even if she had the identity of a little princess, it was just an identity. She didn't have many privileges. Why are you looking for me? Shisheng bit the foxtail grass and asked that beastman in a hooligan manner. I don't know. The beastman shook his head. But I see that the leader doesn't look too good. Quickly go and take a look. Don't make the leader angry. Shisheng walked to Bai An's cave with the foxtail grass in his mouth. Bai An sat at the entrance of the cave and looked around but didn't see Lin Qiqi. Lingxi. Bai An called out to her and jumped down from the cave entrance. He asked, where did you go? Do I need to report to you what I did? Shisheng rolled his eyes. Bai An's face darkened. I asked you to come and apologize to Qiqi yesterday. Why didn't you come? I didn't do anything wrong. Why should I apologize? Why was the male lead so persistent in making him apologize to the female lead? The original owner must have been picked up. How are you not wrong? Shisheng spat out the foxtail grass and put his hands on his hips. Fine, tell me. What did I do wrong? You bullied Qiqi. Which eye of yours saw me bullying your Qiqi? You didn't bully Qiqi. Why is she crying? Are you blaming me for having a problem with your eyes? Bai An was so angry that his face turned green. You're twisting words. Lingxi, if you don't apologize to Qiqi today, don't acknowledge me as your older brother. Shisheng snorted coldly. You think I want to acknowledge you? You're not qualified to be my older brother. You. Bai An gnashed his teeth and raised his hand to hit Shisheng again. Lin Qiqi probably heard the commotion and came out of the cave. She jogged over and pulled Bai An back. Why are you quarreling with Lingxi again? Lingxi is still young. Give in to her. What happened yesterday has nothing to do with Lingxi. Why don't you listen? Don't speak up for her. Do you think I don't know what kind of person she is? I didn't help. Lin Qiqi shook her head and pulled Bai An towards the cave. Lingxi, speak less. Hurry up and go back. Let's pretend that nothing happened yesterday. Shisheng was speechless. No, female lead Sama, explain clearly. What did we do yesterday? What do you mean by this? You make it seem like I really did something to you. Chapter 1292. Lin Qiqi was pulled back to the cave by Bai An. Shisheng curled his lips and prepared to return to his cave. Lin Qiqi came out of the cave again. Lingxi, wait. What? A trace of suspicion flashed across Lin Qiqi's eyes. She asked tentatively, Lingxi, did something happen to you recently? What can happen to me? Shisheng's lips curved into a mocking smile. Did you really not encounter anything strange? If not, then where did the clothes on her come from? Lin Qiqi was conflicted. She wanted to know if there were humans in this world. Shisheng raised his eyebrows. Why should I tell you? Lingxi, I'm just concerned. Lin Qiqi pinched the fur on the side. I know that you don't like me being with your brother, but we're already together now. I've always treated you as a younger sister. Lin Qiqi felt a little wronged in her heart. Ever since she came to the White Tiger tribe, she had been treated well, but she teased her time and time again, and threw a tantrum at her. She came to an unfamiliar environment, and it was a world where strength was the rule. Her heart was filled with confusion and caution. Stop. If you're together, then be together. You don't have to tell me. I can't control you. Shisheng shouted for her to stop. Don't appear in front of me if there's nothing else. Otherwise, Bai An will find trouble with me again. Anyway, whatever the female lead said was right. Whatever she said was wrong. Lingxi, Qiqi is talking to you properly. What's with your attitude? Bai An stood outside the cave and shouted at Shisheng. Shisheng's temper flared up and he shouted back. What's with my attitude? What did I do to her? Did I hit her or scold her? Are you King crazy? The male lead would fall ill at the slightest disagreement. He would be fine after a beating. Seeing that they were about to quarrel again, Lin Qiqi hurriedly went back to comfort Bai An. Shisheng was about to make a move when a sharp cry suddenly came from the sky. Fire, fire. Shisheng raised her head to look at the sky. A large bird was flying across the sky. The voice came from its beak. Jiupu Mountain is on fire, it's on fire. The large bird whistled as it flew over their heads, its voice fading into the distance. The beastmen who heard the sound all looked in the direction of Jiupu Mountain. That direction was the river that Shisheng had gone to before. At this time, the sky over there was thick smoke billowing, and flames could be vaguely seen. What's going on? Why is it on fire? I don't see any heavenly flames either. Leader, what should we do? The orcs all looked at Bayan. A fire in the forest was a very serious matter. The nearby mountains were all connected together. If it really burned, all of them would suffer. Bayan immediately suppressed the anger in his heart, and calmly ordered the beastmen to follow him to Jiupu Mountain to take a look. Bayan, I'm going too. Lin Qiqi jogged after Bayan. What are you going to do? It's very dangerous. Lin Qiqi looked determined. I might have a way to put out the fire. Really? Lin Qiqi nodded. I won't cause trouble for you. Bring me there to take a look. Okay, but you have to follow me closely. Bayan transformed into his beast form and carried Lin Qiqi down the mountain. Soon, he disappeared into the forest with a group of beastmen. Shisheng thought for a while and slowly followed. Bayan and the rest were very fast. Shisheng walked slowly and fell behind by a lot. Just as she was about to go down a small path, two black figures suddenly rushed down from the weeds above. Ah! Tigress, you scared me to death. Xiong Sanmei saw who it was and patted her chest as she panted heavily. Why are you so nervous? Did you set the fire? Shisheng looked at Xiong Sanmei in amusement. Jiupu Mountain was so close to that river. The place where she started the fire back then was bare. Even if it wasn't extinguished, it couldn't have burned. Only Xiong Sanmei was the most likely. Xiong Sanmei cried and wailed. How would I know that it would burn? She originally wanted to bring the fire seed back, but who knew that it would burn on the way back? You're not allowed to tell anyone. I'm leaving first. Xiong Sanmei ran forward anxiously. You must never tell anyone that you saw me. Shisheng was speechless. Brat. What a proper brat. When Shisheng arrived at Jiupu Mountain, there were already many beastmen by the river. Some were in human form, while others were in beast form. Animals ran down from the burning mountain from time to time. The fire soared into the sky and crackled. One could feel that terrifying temperature from afar. This method is very effective. If you don't have a better method, you can try my method. Lin Qiqi's crisp voice traveled over. Will it work? It sounds good, but who knows if it will work? I don't think so. How can it be that easy? The beastmen clearly didn't think highly of Lin Qiqi's method. What could the female lead do? She wasn't the Dragon King who could summon the wind and rain. At most, she could let these beastmen dig an isolation belt. No one has a better idea. Why don't we give it a try? If this fire isn't stopped, it will definitely continue to burn. A man stood up. Shisheng knew who it was when he heard that voice. The second male lead, Fengyan. When Fengyan spoke, the other beastmen looked at each other for a moment. All right, let's give it a try. All right. Let's go quickly. The beastmen began to follow Lin Qiqi's instructions. They first cut down trees, and then dug an isolation belt. But things weren't as simple as Lin Qiqi thought. There were so many handy tools in the modern world. It wasn't that easy to dig an isolation belt. These beastmen didn't have any tools. They could only rely on brute force to cut down trees. They couldn't push down a tree for a long time. Digging an isolation belt was even slower. The fire over there had already burned over, but they hadn't dug over yet. The fire was too big. The beastmen could only give up and return to the river. The blazing temperature made them very afraid. I knew it wouldn't work. How can this fire be so easy to extinguish? Sai, what should we do? It wasn't easy for us to settle down, but it's going to be burned away again. I wonder which wicked person set a fire in the mountains. This is to make the nearby beastmen homeless. If I catch him, I'll definitely skin him alive. How detestable. Hearing the curses by her ear, Lin Qiqi's expression didn't look good. She forgot that this wasn't the modern world. Without tools, it wasn't that easy to dig an isolation belt. It's fine. Bayan patted Lin Qiqi's shoulder and comforted her softly. Lin Qiqi forced a smile. Hey, look over there. A beast man suddenly pointed at the isolation belt that they had dug just now. The fire burned to the edge and stopped advancing. It was obvious that it was blocked. It's really useful. The beast men became excited. But it's too slow. This fire burned too quickly. Let's change to a further place. If everyone works together, we should be able to dig an isolation belt. Seeing that the beastmen believed her, Lin Qiqi hurriedly spoke. Everyone discussed for a while. This was the only way now. In the end, they all nodded in agreement. Chapter 1293. They chose a place that was a mountain away from the fire, and started to dig an isolation belt. The mountain ahead was the White Tiger tribe. If they couldn't stop the fire from spreading, the White Tiger tribe would lose their encampment. Everyone was working hard to dig the isolation belt, and the trees around them kept falling down. Lin Qiqi's originally snow-white leather skirt was also a little dirty at this moment. But those two long, white legs were still very eye-catching. It made people want to lift her troublesome leather skirt. Shisheng sat a little further away and watched the show while eating melon seeds. Host, there's a temporary mission. Do you want to accept it? The system suddenly appeared. No. Shisheng rejected it without thinking. 10,000 points. Shisheng was speechless. So many points? She only had 1,000 points for completing a mission and 2,000 hidden points. The highest point for a side mission was less than 5,000 points. Now, a temporary mission was actually 10,000 points? But face, are you out of your mind? Forget it if you don't want to accept it. I'll accept it. Why don't I accept it with so many points? Temporary mission. Extinguish the fire. Shisheng was speechless. Such high points were actually just for me to be a firefighter? Dog 2, you must be broken. Host, if you attack me like this again, I'll take back the mission. Shisheng was speechless. Then take it back. You make it sound like I want to accept it so much. Host, I was wrong. Hurry up and start. The system lowered its head without any integrity. Shisheng snorted. I'm in a bad mood. I don't want to accept it. Let your mouth be cheap. Let your mouth be cheap. Let your mouth be cheap. The system nagged Shisheng for a long time, but Shisheng didn't accept it. The system was so angry that it wanted to commit suicide like Mubai. What do you want before you accept it? He regretted his cheap mouth just now. Shisheng narrowed his eyes and smiled. Tell me, is there anything nearby that can't be destroyed? There must be a conspiracy to give her such high points. Host, you'll really be captured and dissected like this. I didn't say anything, okay? I'm so tired. The system hesitated for a moment. There's a tree on the mountain. If that tree dies, the beastmen within 1,000 miles won't be able to transform anymore. Shisheng was speechless. What kind of setting was this? I don't know. Anyway, that's how it's set. If I can't transform, then so be it. At most, I'll just be a beast. You will also return to your beast form. What the F***ck, what had changed could change back. That's the setting anyway. The system had nothing to lose. Shisheng. A poisonous plane. I don't want to be a beast. After finishing the last melon seed, Shisheng stood up and walked towards the fire. Standing about 50 meters away from the fire, he took out his iron sword and gestured on the most effective way to strike the fire. I'm counting on you. Shisheng stroked his iron sword. The iron sword hummed. Shisheng raised his sword and was about to swing it down, but he paused in the next second. I'll just protect the tree. Why do we have to put out the fire? Do you know which tree it is? Shisheng. He didn't know. But as such a useful tree, it definitely looked different from others. Hehe. Host, don't try to be sneaky. Was it that difficult to complete a task? Shisheng pondered for a while. It would be faster to find a tree than to split the mountain, so in the end he still did it. The sword swept across the ground with a terrifying momentum, and a half-meter wide gully suddenly appeared. The trees around the gully all fell to the sides. The yellow gully split the whole mountain in the middle. Shisheng flipped to the other side and struck again. An isolation belt suddenly appeared. It's a bit ugly. Make it better next time. It wasn't used to split the isolation belt. Shisheng had made a lot of noise when he split the mountain. The orcs in the distance had already rushed over. When Shisheng returned to the other side of the river, the orcs happened to be there. Looking at the gully that suddenly appeared, the orcs were shocked. Lingxi, what's going on? When they passed by just now, there wasn't such a gully here. And judging from the freshness of the soil, it was obviously freshly dug. But who could have such great ability to create such a long gully in such a short time? The orcs behind arrived one after another. Shisheng watched as they turned from animals into orcs. Bayan and Fengyan were among them. Shisheng dragged the iron sword and jumped down from the mountain. That's what happened. All the orcs' attention was focused on Shisheng. Many orcs recognized her and spoke one after another. What's wrong with Lingxi? She's dressed so strangely. What's that in her hand? It's actually flashing. What's going on? The beastmen pointed at Shisheng and whispered amongst themselves. Lin Qiqi looked at the iron sword in Shisheng's hand, but her heart sank. In this era where iron weapons didn't even appear, how could there be a sword? Also, when Dazhuang died, he was also pierced by a sharp weapon. Was it related to her? Where did the clothes on her body come from? Where did the sword come from? Were there humans in this world? Had she met a human? What exactly was going on? Lin Qiqi's mind was in a mess. She had already accepted that there were no humans in this world, but now something human suddenly appeared. How did this gully appear? Lingxi, did you see it? As the older brother, Bayan naturally had to stand up and ask. Shisheng gestured with his sword. It appeared just like that. Bayan was speechless. Lingxi, what exactly did you see? Tell us quickly. These beastmen didn't think Shisheng had anything to do with this. Shisheng stabbed the iron sword into the ground and supported it with one hand. His other hand was on his waist. Why should I tell you? Why can't you say it? What if such a powerful thing threatens us? That's right. Lingxi, tell us quickly. What exactly is it? What they were worried about now was that something that could create such a long gully in such a short time would pose a threat to them. Shisheng sneered. I won't tell you. Lingxi, Bayan berated with a dark face. Don't mess around. Shisheng raised his eyebrows. I'm messing around. It's none of your business. If you want to know, I have to tell you. I'm not your encyclopedia. I should have looked for the tree just now. It's not too late to look for the tree now. How about? Host, please pay attention to your thoughts. The system quickly tried to appease her. You've already created the barrier. If you let the fire start, all your efforts would have been in vain. Shisheng was speechless. By now, the fire had already spread and was blocked by the barrier. The orcs couldn't help but retreat towards the river. They were afraid of the fire. Asterisk, this is a fake group. Iron sword. I'm probably a fake sword. There's nothing I haven't done before. Little fairy. You're a sword with a story. Mubai, I have wine. Want to join me? Iron sword. I don't talk to people who are instantly defeated. Mubai. We're from the same root. Why are you so anxious to fry each other? Little fairy. I can't not fry it. It tastes better after boiling it. But the votes won't taste good if you keep them. They'll disappear. So come on, today's votes. Mubai. Who told you to beg for votes? Little fairy. Whose permission do I need? I'm begging you. Hit me. I'll kill you. Mubai. 2000 monthly votes. 2000 monthly votes. 2000 monthly votes. 2000 monthly votes. Chapter 1294. When they retreated to the riverside, the orcs began to interrogate Shisheng about how the ditch had appeared. Shisheng kept his word. The orcs were so angry that they started to cause trouble for Bayan. Bayan couldn't do anything to Shisheng now. She was fuming, but there was nothing she could do. I remember that I saw Lingxi start a fire by the riverside at noon. Not long after, the fire started. You didn't set it, did you? Unable to ask where the ravine came from, one of the orcs suddenly spoke up. When I came to get water, I saw Lingxi start a fire. I saw it too. One orc after another stepped forward to point out Shisheng. Many tribes didn't have fire. Tribes with fires would send orcs to watch over them so that they wouldn't go out. Shisheng had attracted a lot of orcs' attention when he started a fire by the riverside. But since he was the little princess of the White Tiger tribe, no orcs dared to ask him anything. Shisheng brushed his hair behind his ear. Why did I have to take the blame for Xiong Sanmei's incident? I did start a fire, but I started it by the riverside. How could it have spread to the mountains? Shisheng sneered. Are your brains for decoration? Who knows if you set it on fire? Shisheng looked at the orc who spoke. I didn't put out the fire when I left. I can say that you set it on fire. Don't talk nonsense if you don't have evidence. The orc immediately retorted. Shisheng nodded in agreement. Yes, don't talk nonsense if you don't have evidence. Did you see me set it on fire with your own eyes? Or did you hear me do it with your own ears? The orcs were speechless. They really didn't see her. They only saw her start a fire. Why didn't you put out the fire? The orcs couldn't convince Shisheng. What does it have to do with whether I put out the fire or not? Even if you didn't set it on fire, would this have happened if you put it out? Shisheng looked at the orc and said sarcastically, Can you blame the rabbit for running fast if you can't catch it? The orcs were speechless. After a long while, the orc said, I'm a vegetarian. Shisheng was speechless. Well, the orcs were amazing. They were vegetarians, yet they could still mingle with these carnivores. Weren't they afraid of being eaten? Shisheng later discovered that these beastmen had an unwritten rule. Any shape-shifting orc or carnivorous orc would never capture a vegetarian orc. Of course, fighting and killing didn't count. However, they wouldn't eat those that were killed. That's enough, stop arguing. A big man with dark skin stood up. It doesn't matter if she set the fire or not. She was the one who started the fire. The White Tiger tribe has to take responsibility for this. Shisheng knew who he was at first glance. He looked like Xiong Sanmei and was as black as a coal ball. He was blind in one eye. It was said that he was blinded when he fought when he was young. Later on, the beastmen called him Blind Bear. Why? The White Tiger tribe was unconvinced. She started the fire. It's her responsibility, Blind Bear shouted in a hoarse voice. What are you shouting for? Are you trying to compete? Shisheng glared at Blind Bear. Your daughter left after me. Are you sure she didn't set the fire? Blind Bear was shocked. What did you say? Xiong Sanmei was there too. You should have seen it, right? Shisheng's gaze swept across the orcs. Two beastmen raised their hands. Xiong Sanmei was indeed with Lingxi. They even talked, but Lingxi left first. Nonsense. You and third sister have never been on good terms. Are you trying to slander her? Blind Bear shouted angrily. Shisheng shrugged. There were orcs who saw it. It's not just my side of the story. You can't deny it just because Xiong Sanmei is your daughter, right? Blind Bear, call Xiong Sanmei over and ask her, Bian said. With so many orcs watching, Blind Bear could only ask the orcs to call Xiong Sanmei. But the orcs who went to call Xiong Sanmei came back and said they couldn't find her. She ran away. Shisheng spread his hands in amusement. You shut up. The Blind Bear's anger soared to the heavens. Have you searched everywhere? Yes, but we couldn't find her. If they couldn't find the orcs involved, it was useless for Blind Bear to deny it. In the end, they decided to find Xiong Sanmei first. As for the ravine, Shisheng didn't say anything. They couldn't tie her up and interrogate her. Everyone could only guess. The orcs gradually dispersed. After working for so long, they were already exhausted. Lingxi, were you the one who set this fire? Bian waited for the beastmen to disperse before questioning Shisheng with a dark expression. I said I'm not. It's up to you whether you believe me or not. Shisheng pulled out her sword and walked back. It's best if you didn't, Bian said from behind. If you did, I can't protect you. Shisheng snorted. You never thought of protecting me. What's that in your hand? Bian's voice suddenly sounded again. Shisheng turned around. Sword. She waved the iron sword twice, and the saplings by the side of the road were cut in half. Do you see that? If anyone dares to provoke me in the future, This will be the outcome. Iron Sword was speechless. Two innocent saplings. Master, don't you think you weren't domineering at all just now? Weren't you convincing at all? What do you know? Apart from the female lead, they have never seen such a high-end tool like you. Saplings are enough. Sure enough, Anne's expression turned ugly. He stared at the iron sword in her hand. A thought flashed past his mind, but he didn't catch it. You know that this thing is called a sword? Lin Chichi couldn't help but ask. Where did you get it? It's none of your business. Shisheng kept his sword and turned to leave. Lin Chichi bit her lower lip and said to Bayan, the wound on Dazhuang's body matches the sword in Ling Shi's hand. Lin Chichi's reminder made Bayan suddenly enlightened. You mean that she killed Dazhuang? No, that's not what I meant. Lin Chichi hurriedly shook her head. I'm worried that Ling Shi met some strange person. Her temperament has changed too much recently. Human? When Bayan met Lin Chichi, he heard her say that there was another kind of creature called a human. They were born like this and didn't know how to transform. Furthermore, Lin Chichi didn't know how to transform either. That kind of sword is a very common weapon for humans. Lin Chichi nodded. If Ling Shi really met someone, that ravine must be related to that person. There were some things in this world that couldn't be explained with common sense. For example, what did beastmen rely on to transform? In those novels, animals definitely had to cultivate if they wanted to transform. This was what they called cultivation. If she really came to such a world where she could turn the clouds and rain with a flip of her hand, it would be easy for a cultivator to create such a ravine. Bayan stared thoughtfully at Shisheng, who had already disappeared into the distance. Don't talk nonsense about this. I'll go back and ask her. Asterisk, keep the 2,000 monthly votes for the extra chapters well. Those who have votes, vote quickly. Chapter 1295. The riverside gradually quieted down and the sky dimmed. One side of the ravine was lush and green, while the other side was lit up by flames. A man stood on the other side of the river with his hands behind his back. He looked at the other side from afar, his eyes burning with passion. The entire river was dyed orange. The wind blew across the river, making it sparkle, flutter. The eagle circled in the sky, landed behind the man, and turned into a human. King, I've found out. Yes. The shapeshifter replied respectfully. She's from the White Tiger tribe. Should I bring her back? Little tiger. The man murmured. After a moment of silence, he turned and walked into the darkness. His voice came through the night wind. No need. In the middle of the night, Shisheng woke up because of the need to pee again. She sat up and scratched her head in annoyance. Was there something wrong with her body? She only drank a little water at night. Why did she need to pee? Shisheng couldn't hold it anymore. She jumped out of the cave and went to the forest to solve her life problem. This time she didn't meet the female lead, but she met Xiong Sanmei. Shisheng pulled up her pants and stood up, only to see Xiong Sanmei sneakily heading towards the tribe with that lackey. Xiong Sanmei! Shisheng shouted. Xiong Sanmei screamed in fright, but she quickly covered her mouth and turned around. The forest was dark, but Shisheng was dressed differently from the others. Xiong Sanmei recognized her at a glance. She rushed over and wanted to shout, but she was afraid that she would attract the shapeshifters of the White Tiger tribe. She gritted her teeth and said, "Didn't you promise me that you wouldn't tell anyone?" "I didn't promise you." Xiong Sanmei was the one talking the whole time. "When did she promise?" "You." Xiong Sanmei pointed at Shisheng. "Why are you so disloyal? I helped you hide from your brother." Shisheng spread her hands innocently. "Your father wanted to drag me down. If I didn't betray you, I would have been in trouble. If it weren't for the blind bear, she wouldn't have betrayed Xiong Sanmei." Xiong Sanmei's eyes widened. After a while, she thumped her chest and stamped her feet. "My father is trying to kill me." Xiong Sanmei muttered to herself for a while before looking up at the Shisheng. "No, I have to run away from home." She didn't wait for Shisheng's response. She hurried back with her followers and soon disappeared into the night. This brat. Because Xiong Sanmei had run away, everyone knew that it was most likely related to her. As her father, Blind Bear had to take responsibility for his daughter. In the end, the group of beastmen discussed and decided that the Black Bear tribe and the White Tiger tribe would each take half of the responsibility. They had to help the nearby tribes rebuild their tribes and provide them with rations. The conflicts between the tribes were of no use at this time. They also had rules here. Bayan was so angry that he rushed into the Shisheng cave and roared at the Shisheng. Shisheng went in one ear and out the other. Occasionally he would mock Bayan, making her speechless. In the end, Bayan said, "Go hunting with me tomorrow." The White Tiger tribe was in charge of bringing food to those beastmen, while the Black Bear tribe was in charge of rebuilding their tribe. The next day, Shisheng was woken up at dawn. All the males in the tribe wanted to go out. Because females were relatively rare, all the beastmen in the tribe held on to them and wouldn't let them go out to hunt. But if any female wanted to go, the males wouldn't refuse. Of course, the females who went usually stood at the back. It was similar to going to inspect the army. "Lingxi, are you going hunting too?" A female beastman stood under her cave. "Lin Qiqi seems to be going too. She's so weak. Why is she going?" Shisheng put on his coat and came out. He looked down at the female beastman. "You're talking as if you can do anything if you go." The female beastman was speechless. Shisheng jumped down in front of her. The female beastman immediately followed her. "Lingxi, what are you wearing? It looks so good. You look even better in it." The female beastmen in the tribe often urged the original owner to do some despicable things. This was one of them. "Lingxi, do you still have it? Lend it to me to wear." The female beastman reached out to touch Shisheng's clothes. "No." Shisheng turned to the side and avoided her hand. "Lingxi, I'm just borrowing it to wear. It's not like I won't return it to you. Why are you so stingy?" The female beastman was a little unhappy. Shisheng was speechless. "Can you return it after wearing it?" In the original owner's memories, this female beastman often took things from her. Sometimes she would take food from the original owner. She said that she was borrowing it, but in reality, she didn't return it. The original owner was coaxed by her words in the past. Now she still wanted to coax her. Dream on. She wondered if this female beastman had anything to do with the original owner that night. Shisheng asked directly, "Where were you that night?" The female beastman asked, "Which night?" "The night I was beaten up by Bayan in the past. When it was time to eat, this beastman would come to the original owner's cave to talk. Then, when the food was delivered, she wouldn't be polite and used it. But that night, she didn't seem to come after that. The original owner was called over by Bayan. I'm at home." The female beastman's expression didn't change. "Why are you asking this?" Shisheng retracted his gaze. "Nothing." Shisheng walked towards the large group that had gathered in front. "Hey Lingxi, are you going to borrow it or not?" "No." The female beastman said a few unpleasant words from behind. Shisheng couldn't be bothered with her and walked straight to the large group. Bayan thought that she would have to call her, but who knew that she would actually come herself? "Let's go." Bayan waved her hand. The beastmen immediately ran down the mountain. One by one, they transformed into their beast forms and quickly fled into the forest. The hunting ground was fixed. There was no need to lead the way. They could just gather there later. Bayan returned to her original form and hunched Lin Qiqi, who was like a white lotus, onto her back. She turned to look at Shisheng. "Why aren't you leaving yet?" Shisheng walked past Bayan calmly. Lin Qiqi stared at her back and suddenly leaned over to whisper into Bayan's ear. Then she jumped down and ran back. Seeing that no one was paying attention to her, she climbed into the cave where Shisheng lived. At a glance, there was nothing in the cave. Lin Qiqi searched carefully but didn't see that sword. Strange, where did she hide the sword? There was no place to hide such a long sword in this cave. She even looked at the top of the cave, but she didn't see that sword. Lin Qiqi was afraid that beastmen would come over, and didn't dare to stay any longer. She came out carefully and ran to Bayan's side to climb onto his back. "If you're not feeling well, you won't be going," Bayan said worriedly. "I'm fine." Lin Qiqi shook her head. "Let's go." Bayan ran down the mountain. Lin Qiqi hugged his neck to prevent herself from falling. Bayan, did you ask her about the origin of that sword? The wind blew Lin Qiqi's voice away. I did, but she didn't say. Lingxi has been strange recently. I have a bad feeling. I keep feeling that something is going to happen. Don't worry. I'm here. Yes. Chapter 1296. In the wilderness, the White Tiger tribe's beastmen had all arrived. Shisheng didn't appear for a long time. Bayan got the other beastmen to start hunting while he and Lin Qiqi waited for Shisheng. However, Shisheng didn't appear until noon. His hair was wet. It was obvious that he had gone to do something. Shisheng was chewing on a bright red fruit. It tasted like an apple, but the core inside was like a peach core. Seeing her leisurely appearance, Bayan was so angry that his stomach hurt. We've been waiting for you here for so long. You actually went to wash your hair? Why are you waiting for me? Shisheng looked at Bayan in confusion. You're not asking me to go hunting, right? Bayan frowned and said angrily. You caused this trouble. Why aren't you going? Shisheng curled his lips. Which female in the tribe had hunted before? Even if they had hunted before, it was only when the male had ground the prey to the last bit of blood before the female beastman pretended to give the last blow. I'm not going. Shisheng sat on a protruding rock and nibbled on her fruit. Bayan. Forget it. Lin Qiqi pulled Bayan. I'll go with you. Lin Qiqi comforted Bayan and half-dragged him away. Shisheng sat for a while before an orc returned carrying a bison. There were bite marks on the bison's abdomen. One could see its intestines and blood. Lingxi. The orc threw the bison down and walked to Shisheng. Don't be angry with the leader. He asked you to come because he wanted the other beastmen in the tribe to have nothing to say. Shisheng looked up at him. The orc in front of him had strong facial features and looked very upright. He wasn't wearing anything on his upper body and was stained with blood. Beads of sweat rolled down his abdominal muscles. This orc was called Bai Yuan. He was Bayan's right-hand man and was very trusted by Bayan. He treated the original owner quite well. Shisheng's gaze swept from his face to his feet, and he casually nodded. Then stay here and watch. I'll continue. Bai Yuan forced a smile. If you're hungry, eat some first. Shisheng glanced at the bloody bison and continued eating his fruit in silence. After Bai Yuan came back, more and more beastmen came back with their prey. Most of them came in groups. There were no beastmen like Bai Yuan who came back alone. When the orcs saw Shisheng sitting there, some of them looked unhappy, but some of them greeted her. She only knows how to cause trouble all day long. If it wasn't for the leader, she wouldn't have it easy. She even goes against the leader all day long. She doesn't know how lucky she is. Cut it out. Why can't I say it? Look at what she's done. If it weren't for her, we wouldn't have to work so hard now. All right, let's go. The complaining orc was forcefully dragged away. Lingxi, don't listen to their nonsense. The youth behind them threw down a small deer in his hand. Xiaolu's neck was bitten off. His eyes were wide open, and he died with remaining grievances. What a scary world. Shisheng shifted his gaze to the young man's face. Why are you here? In modern times, she would be considered underage. It is illegal to use child labor. She would be invited for tea. The young man smiled honestly. My father told me to learn from him. Look, I caught this myself. He pointed at the small deer on the ground with a proud expression. Very impressive. Shisheng felt that there was nothing else she could say other than this. Should she say that the bite was too ugly, and that it was even stained with saliva? The young man was embarrassed by the compliment. He scratched his head. Then I'll continue. After the young man left, Shisheng was left alone. She looked up at the sky. The sky was blue, completely different from the industrial polluted and foggy sky of modern times. This was probably the only good thing about ancient times. However, it was useless. So boring. Several eagles were circling in the sky. Shisheng stared at them for a while, then took out a slingshot from her space and pulled out a few stones from the ground. Host, are you kidding? Can this thing hit an eagle that high? Shisheng aimed at an eagle. Do you want to bet? No, I won't bet. The host is so confident. She can definitely hit it. Coward. Shisheng released her hand. The stone shot out quickly and hit a bird that flew over Shisheng's head. What happened to hitting an eagle? Shisheng went to pick up the bird. I didn't say I wanted to hit an eagle. That thing flies so high. Do you think I'm stupid? Then why did you call me a coward? If you weren't a coward, you would have won now. Who asked you to have such a domineering look of I want to hit it? It's just a matter of lifting a finger. Shisheng shook her head and said, You'll never be able to learn how to act cool like me. Haha. When it comes to acting cool, I only admire my host. Shisheng was so bored that she hit all the birds nearby, so no birds dared to come over. Even if there are no requirements for a game, the requirements for a self-created game must be met. My host is addicted to the game and can't extricate herself. When Shisheng looked up again, she found that 2 of the eagles circling in the sky were missing. If they hadn't flown so high, she might have been able to shoot them down. Do eagles eat meat? Shisheng held her chin and thought for a moment. It should be food. She looked at the prey next to her, dragged one to a more open area, and threw it over there. The eagles in the sky. What did she mean? Was she tempting them? No, she had to resist the temptation. In the wasteland further away, 2 eagles appeared one after another. They landed on a hillside and transformed into human forms. They knelt down respectfully. King. The man sat cross-legged on the hillside. He was wearing a feather robe woven from feathers. The magnificent blue and deep black intertwined. A gentle breeze blew on the wasteland, blowing his feather robe and tangling his unbound hair, revealing his beautiful features. His eyes were silent as he looked into the distance. His thin lips were slightly pursed and curved. He was like a flower that stood alone in the wasteland. In that wasteland, he was so magnificent that people couldn't take their eyes off him. This was how a beauty should be. The man's voice sounded after a while. What's the matter? Ling, she seems to have discovered us. The orc on the left said hesitantly. Really? The other orc added. I'm not sure, but she aimed at us and hit a passing bird in the end. Maybe it's just a coincidence. The man remained silent. A gentle breeze blew around them, rustling softly. The orc on the left couldn't help but say, King, if you like her, just take her back. Bayan wouldn't dare to refuse. Why do you want us to spy on her? The orc on the right immediately pinched the orc on the left and glared at him. You're crazy. How dare you comment on the king's decision? The orc on the left was annoyed. He had blurted out those words without thinking. The man stood up from the ground. His feather robe fluttered in the wind. Only then did they see that it was a cloak. The man held the corner of the cloak and moved it slightly to the side, blocking the view inside. The man's gentle voice came with the wind. He faintly smiled. Her claws are sharp. Chapter 1297. Shisheng waited for a long time, and realized that those eagles didn't come down. Indeed, in this world, animals were all king smart. She went to drag the prey back. Lingxi, bad news. Shisheng had just dropped the prey. The young man stumbled over from afar. Lingxi, something happened to the leader. Ha! Shisheng tilted his head and saw the young man running closer. He seemed to be injured and his breathing was rapid. The young man ran in and fell to the ground. The leader is surrounded by long-tailed apes. Lingxi, quickly find the other beastmen to save the leader. Don't go alone. Go find the other beastmen. Don't go alone. The young man kept repeating that he didn't want Shisheng to go alone, and asked her to call for the beastmen. Shisheng was speechless. As a tiger, couldn't he defeat a few monkeys? He wasn't Mount Tai. No, why were there monkeys in this wilderness? Even if they were looking for food, they couldn't find it in this wilderness, right? This didn't make sense. The young man was injured. He originally wanted to find the other beastmen, but he might not be able to hold on until he found the other beastmen, so he came to find Shisheng first and asked her to ask for help. It would be better if the male and female leads died. Why save ghosts? If she didn't save them, she would watch the show. Host, your thoughts are especially dangerous. When aren't my thoughts dangerous? It seemed that there really weren't any. She dared to let go of herself in front of Feng Xiai, let alone others. No, host. What right do you have to be so smug? Host, is your face made of diamond? I should go offline to buffer myself. Seeing that Shisheng wasn't moving, the young man urged anxiously, Lingxi, go quickly. Go, go, go. Shisheng took 2 steps and turned to ask the young man, which way? The young man pointed in a direction. Before Shisheng could get close, she heard the screams of apes. She climbed over a hill and saw the battle on the wilderness at a glance. Bayan was surrounded by 3, especially huge monkeys. The monkeys were at least as big as 2 people stacked together. Their tails were very long, so they were called long-tailed apes. The way they bared their teeth looked ferocious. These monkeys were really Mount Tai. Bayan's snow-white fur was already stained with blood. He was in a sorry state. Lin Qiqi didn't know if she had gone to look for help, but she didn't see anyone. The monkey launched an all-out attack on Bayan. The cries of the tiger and monkey resounded throughout the wasteland. Shisheng clicked his tongue and sat on the hillside to watch the show. It was a rare sight to see a monkey fighting a tiger. Host, I'm not a monkey. It's the same anyway. Shisheng stroked the melon seeds. Didn't you go offline? You can pretend that I'm offline. Shisheng. Awesome, my butt face. The combined combat strength of the 3 monkeys definitely far exceeded Bayan's. Yet, Bayan was still alive and was barely holding on. One of the monkeys slapped Bayan's abdomen. Bayan staggered and his body tilted. This gave the other monkey a chance. It immediately stepped forward and clawed at Bayan with its sharp claws. The 3rd monkey quickly lifted Bayan into the air and smashed him onto the ground. Bayan tried to stand up, but he was exhausted. The 3 monkeys approached Bayan and seemed to have said something to him. Then they prepared to give him the final blow. At the critical moment, Lin Qiqi rushed over with the White Tiger Tribe's beastmen and saved Bayan in time. He knew it. When the protagonist was about to die, someone would always come to save him. It was all a trap. Shisheng sighed in melancholy. Why didn't she have such a powerful halo? When have you died? I relied on myself. Who saved me? Shisheng retorted. He was actually speechless. When will you give me the newbie gift bag? Can't you forget this? Is it interesting? Is it interesting? Shisheng gritted his teeth. No, I have to remember this forever. Everyone else has a newbie gift bag. Why don't I have one? I'm not convinced. I don't have anyone else. The system wanted to roar. She was its only host. Where did the others come from? Don't make me a cuckold. The ending wasn't good. The 3 monkeys could defeat Bayan, but they couldn't defeat so many White Tiger Tribe's beastmen. They left dejectedly. When they left, they didn't forget to say that this matter wasn't over. Bayan was seriously injured, so the beastmen could only send him back first. Everyone in the White Tiger Tribe, young and old, surrounded Bayan's cave. Will the leader be fine? He went out fine. Why did he come back like this? If something happens to the leader, what should we do? What exactly is going on? Explain clearly. All sorts of voices spread. Shisheng sat outside her cave and propped his chin up as he looked over at Bayan's cave. The beastmen over there were also very confused. When they went over, Bayan was already like that. They didn't know why the long-tailed ape attacked Bayan either. The only person who knew was probably Lin Qiqi. But now that Lin Qiqi was in the cave, no one could ask. Everyone could only wait anxiously. Bai Yuan only came out late at night. The leader's life is temporarily in danger. It's good that he's fine. It's good that he's fine. I was really scared to death. Fortunately, the leader is fine. After comforting the beastmen, Bai Yuan looked at Shisheng, who was still sitting outside. He thought for a while, walked over, and looked up at him. Lingxi, were you frightened? Shisheng was speechless. Which eye of yours looks like I was frightened? It's okay. The leader will be fine. Don't worry. Bai Yuan comforted Shisheng like a big brother. It's been a tiring day. Go back and rest. I'll take care of the leader. Shisheng couldn't help but roll his eyes. Who was worried about the male lead? Brother Bai Yuan. Lin Qiqi's voice came from the cave. Bai Yuan replied. I'll go in first. Shisheng watched Bai Yuan enter the cave. She sat for a while and prepared to go back to sleep. From the corner of her eye, She saw a figure constantly talking to the beastman guarding Bai An's cave. He seemed to be begging for something, but that beastman kept shaking his head. Shisheng jumped down and the beastman immediately lowered his head. When the beastman who was begging saw him, he also lowered his head. "Where's your son?" Shisheng stood still in front of that beastman. The beastman didn't know why Shisheng asked this and stuttered, At home." "Lead the way." Or did he make a mistake?" The beastman became even more nervous. "No, lead the way." It wasn't a mistake. The beastman was flattered and hurriedly led the way. The young man's name was Bai Xian. His mother had died of illness, leaving only him and his father. Female beastmen sometimes had several partners, but there were also some who only chose one partner. In this world, as long as you were good-looking and strong, regardless of whether you were a female or a male, you could have multiple partners. If you weren't good-looking and didn't have strength, then the status of the female was higher. The male could only be chosen by the female. Bai Xian's mother was very beautiful, but she only chose his father as her partner. If she hadn't died, this family would have had a good life in the tribe. Bai Xian's father brought Shisheng to a remote cave. There was no light here. Before he entered, he felt a wave of humidity. There was a faint smell of blood. Chapter 1298. Tigers had night vision, but the beastmen seemed to have improved this ability. They could see even in the dark. Bai Xian's father walked into the cave skillfully and cleared away the things blocking the way. Then he invited Shisheng in. There were 2 stone platforms in the cave. Bai Xian was lying on the smaller stone bed. He was lying on his stomach, revealing the hideous wound on his back. The wound looked untreated. How long had he been back? "You didn't apply any medicine?" Bai Xian's father shook his head. "We don't have any medicine. I wanted to ask the chief to give me some, but he was rejected." Medicine was also in short supply in this era. It was not because of the shortage of herbs, but because they did not recognize those herbs. The herbs that were effective for treating wounds were passed down from generation to generation. Everyone used the same method, so those herbs were definitely in short supply. It was already good enough for the chief of a tribe to have medicine. "Bring some water in and wash his wound." Bai Xian's father hesitated. The water was for drinking. How could it be used to wash a wound? "Do you want to see him die?" Bai Xian's father immediately shook his head and took the water out of the cave. At worst, he would go to the river tomorrow to get some water. Shisheng instructed Bai Xian's father to clean Bai Xian's wound. Then he took out alcohol from his space to disinfect it. When the alcohol was poured on the wound, Bai Xian was awakened by the pain. Bai Xian's father was so frightened that his hands trembled. The alcohol was poured on Bai Xian's wound again. Bai Xian groaned and fainted from the pain. When Bai Xian's father finished cleaning Bai Xian, he was almost exhausted. There was a sound in the cave. He turned around abruptly. Shisheng came in with a bunch of green plants. He did not notice when Shisheng went out. Shisheng threw the herbs on the ground and picked them for a while. Crush these and apply them to his wound. Change them every day. Boil the rest, let him eat it. There was nothing in the tribe that could be used to boil medicine. Anyway, they were not humans. They could eat it directly. Shisheng finished his instructions and turned to leave. It's his bad luck if he dies. Shisheng walked out of the cave. Bai Xian's father chased after him. "Lingxi, thank you." Bai Xian's father also doubted Shisheng's words. However, when he thought of Shisheng's calm and collected manner, he felt that he could give it a try. Anyway, he had no other choice now. Misfortunes never come singly. Before Baian was out of danger, the 3 monkeys led an army to attack the mountain. The main force attacking the mountain was not only the 3 monkeys' army, but also the Crow Snake tribe. The leader of the Black Snake tribe coveted Lin Qiqi, and had been taught a lesson by Baian previously. This time, he took the opportunity to collude with the long-tailed ape, and was bound to destroy the White Tiger tribe. He heard that the 3 monkeys fought with Baian because of Lin Qiqi. Therefore, this was actually a war caused by women. Flip the table. The female lead was a femme fatale. Why didn't anyone do anything for her? Was she not a femme fatale? With your character, who would dare to go up against you if you weren't of the same caliber? Hashtag for more information, please refer to the collection of Mubai's instant meal hashtag Shisheng. Forget it, one is enough. Shisheng shook off these strange thoughts and continued to think about what had happened just now. If they won, how would the long-tailed ape leader and the crow-snake leader distribute Lin Qiqi? At that time, they might have to fight again. Bai Yuan brought a portion of the tribe's beastmen down the mountain. The others surrounded the tribe's empty space and discussed. At this moment, Baiyan was injured and foreign enemies were attacking. The beastmen who didn't go down the mountain looked a little flustered. The crow-snake tribe and the long-tailed ape tribe came prepared. In the evening, the white tiger tribe's beastmen retreated up the mountain. The beastmen waiting for news in the open space immediately surrounded them and threw questions at those beastmen. How is it? Did you win? Did they leave? Bai Yuan gestured for everyone to quiet down. Everyone looked at each other and waited for him to give a speech. Bai Yuan swept his gaze across the beastmen and said in a low voice, "There are too many of them. We might have to avoid them temporarily." The scene was silent for a few seconds. Then there was noise. Some beastmen shouted that they wanted to go down and fight them to the death. It wasn't easy for Bai Yuan to calm these beastmen down. The leader is injured. We have to let him recover first. As for the other matters, when the leader recovers, we will naturally take revenge. Everyone, don't be so agitated. Bai Yuan persuaded them for a long time before these beastmen accepted the setting of avoiding the limelight and went back to pack their things. Lingxi, quickly pack your things. Bai Yuan saw that Shisheng was still sitting at the entrance of the cave and couldn't help but remind him. Shisheng glanced at him, and the corners of his mouth twitched. There's nothing to bring. Could it be that she was going to take the entire cave with her? Bai Yuan sighed and went to busy himself with his work. After everyone packed their things, Bai Yuan asked all the beastmen to gather. 2 beastmen carried Baiyan while Lin Qiqi followed beside Baiyan with a tired expression. We'll leave from the back of the mountain. Everyone be careful. Oh no. The back of the mountain is blocked by the Black Snake tribe. A beastman stumbled down from the back of the mountain. Bai Yuan's expression changed, and he grabbed that beastman. Did you see it clearly? The beastman nodded repeatedly. I saw it clearly. All the roads that can go down are blocked. The other beastmen immediately spoke. Fight it out with them. That's right. We're not afraid of trouble. This is our territory. How can we let them be presumptuous? We're not afraid of them. Fight it out. They were white tigers after all. These beastmen had courage. Brother Bai Yuan, there's no other way now. It's more important to discuss countermeasures and defeat the long-tailed apes and the Black Snake tribe's beastmen. Lin Qiqi echoed. Bai Yuan glanced at Baiyan. Carry the leader back first. Bai Yuan and Lin Qiqi discussed countermeasures with the beastmen outside. Lin Qiqi proposed 2 tactics. After some discussion, they decided to listen to Lin Qiqi. When the long-tailed apes and the Black Snake tribe attacked again, Lin Qiqi's tactic worked and repelled them. Lin Qiqi received unanimous praise from the beastmen. Compared to Shisheng, who had been watching and doing nothing, the beastmen naturally liked Lin Qiqi more. Shisheng used a branch to casually draw messy lines on the ground and looked coldly at the lively beastmen in the distance. Lin Qiqi's tactic was effective, but that was because the long-tailed apes and the Black Snake tribe's beastmen didn't expect it. If they were prepared for the second time, would they still be so easy to fool? Lin Qiqi naturally understood this logic, so she told everyone not to use that method. But the beastmen felt that this method was so good, so why didn't they use it? On the surface, they agreed to Lin Qiqi, but in private, they didn't give up on using this method. Thus, in the second exchange, not only did the White Tiger tribe's beastmen not defeat the enemy, but they also lost several beastmen on their side. Chapter 1299. With this defeat, they were forced to retreat step by step. The long-tailed apes and the crow-snake tribe fought. Where's Baiyan? Tell him to come out. Why are you pretending to be a coward? Monkey shouted the moment he came up. He transformed into a human, and was much smaller than when he was in his beast form. However, he was still stronger than ordinary beastmen. From afar, He looked like a muscular man. This violated the setting of the word monkey. Allow me to remind the host seriously that he's not a monkey. Shisheng was speechless. The White Tiger Tribe's beastmen formed a semi-arc and protected the underage and female beastmen behind them. Big brother, capture them all. Won't we be able to find Bayan after searching? Monkey B's malicious gaze swept across the female behind him. The females of this White Tiger Tribe are much prettier than our tribes. Monkey A might have felt that Monkey B's words made sense. He waved his muscular arm. Kill the male and capture the female. The battles between tribes were very cruel. The captured females could only exist as slaves in that tribe. It was fine if they were beautiful. If they were fancied by someone with a higher status, their lives would be better. But if they were ugly, they could only be used as a tool by those male beastmen who didn't have partners. Looking at a group of animals fighting, Shisheng felt that he had entered a zoo. It was even a magnified version of a zoo. Lin Qiqi and some old, weak women and children retreated to Bayan's cave. Shisheng sat next to them with his legs crossed as if nothing had happened. Lingxi, why aren't you going down to help? A female beastman couldn't stand it anymore. Shisheng looked sideways at that female beastman. Why should I help? The female beastman said righteously. Those who can fight have gone. Why don't you go? What does it have to do with me? You're the leader's sister. The leader is injured. You have the obligation to protect us. The female beastman directly put a big hat on Shisheng. Shisheng dug his ears. Then, I'll cut ties with him. The beastmen were speechless. You're too casual. Everyone stopped talking. Lin Qiqi came out of the cave and distributed some weapons with wooden sticks and stones to the beastmen. The only thing we can do now is to protect ourselves. Who wants your fake kindness? The female beastmen didn't buy Lin Qiqi's words. They brushed her hand away and said in harsh tones, Isn't it all because of you that we suffered this? You're seducing male beastmen everywhere. Why are you pretending in front of us at this time? Those beastmen were only 30% hostile to Shisheng, but when they saw the female lead, their hostility soared to 10%. Lin Qiqi's face darkened and she defended herself. I didn't. The female beastman closest to Lin Qiqi pushed her. Who are you doing this for? Do you think that we will pity you like those males? Lin Qiqi staggered from the push and hit a protruding rock outside the cave. Her back hurt. The anger in her heart rose. These beastmen were still harping on this matter at this time. Don't they want her? Push her out and we'll be fine. She's the one who started it, so there's nothing wrong with using her to appease her. Lin Qiqi looked at the orcs in front of her in disbelief. However, a magnetic beastman had already reached out to pull her. The two female beastmen worked together to push Lin Qiqi to the front. Stop fighting. Don't you want her? We'll give her to you and you'll leave our encampment. Shisheng was speechless. Beastmen weren't inferior to humans when it came to betraying their teammates. They were too naive. I must have come to a fake beastman world. The beastmen fighting below stopped when they heard the sound and looked at the cave. Lin Qiqi was pushed to the front. Her snow-white fur wrapped around her exquisite body. A large area of fair skin was exposed to the air. Her small face was pale, but it looked pitiful and pitiful. What are you doing? Bai Yuan's exasperated voice traveled over. Bai Yuan, they're much more sensible than you. Alright, as long as you give us that female, we won't fight anymore. Monkey A followed closely. Dream on. Bai Yuan berated, seemingly enraged. Bai Yuan, look. You can't beat us. A female can be exchanged for your entire tribe. It's very worth it. Monkey A pointed at the White Tiger Tribe's beastmen who had fallen to the ground. Bai Yuan's expression changed slightly. His gaze landed on the wailing beastmen on the ground. He looked up at Lin Qiqi again. Bai Yuan, why don't we agree to them? He didn't know if the leader would recover, but if he didn't agree now, they would probably die here. Bai Yuan, agree to them. Agree. The male beastmen started to agree. Lin Qiqi didn't expect that the beastmen who had treated her very well a moment ago would agree to exchange her for their lives in the next moment. This world, it was far more dangerous than she had thought before. Bai Yuan struggled for a long time before finally nodding. The female beastmen immediately suppressed the struggling Lin Qiqi. Retreat to the foot of the mountain first. We'll give her to you. Bai Yuan didn't look at Lin Qiqi as he gritted his teeth. Okay. Monkey A waved his hand. Don't play tricks. It's very easy for us to fight our way up. Let's go. Brother, wait a minute. Monkey B suddenly pulled Monkey A and pointed in Shisheng's direction. That seems to be Bai An's sister. Let's take her away too. Shisheng was speechless. I was just here to watch the show. Why did I have to be shot too? It wasn't enough to obtain the female lead. They actually wanted me too. They were simply tired of living. Where was I's sword? Don't go overboard. Bai Yuan immediately stood up and glared. If you force us into a corner, we'll just perish together. Monkey A was a little hesitant. His original goal was Lin Qiqi, but Bai An's sister. If he could torture her, he could vent his anger. Monkey A made up his mind. Count her in. Lin Qiqi suddenly stopped struggling. She looked up at Shisheng. Now that they were in the same situation, could she still watch coldly from the sidelines? Or rather, would the person behind her still watch coldly from the sidelines? Bai Yuan, have you thought it through? Do you want to bury the entire White Tiger tribe with you? Monkey A looked at Bai Yuan, who was about to attack him. You. Before Bai Yuan could speak, Shisheng cut him off. Monkey, have you thought it through? Do you want to bury the entire group of monkeys with you? Monkey A was speechless. Who the hell is a monkey? Your whole family is monkeys. Shisheng jumped down from the platform in the cave and slowly walked towards the battle circle. When she approached the monkey army, a cold light flashed and the iron sword suddenly appeared. She jumped forward. Monkey A was shocked. His orc intuition told him that there was danger, and he subconsciously defended himself. His body suddenly grew taller and returned to the size of Mount Tai. He used his arm to block the iron sword that was swinging down. Swoosh! The sound of the iron sword dragging in the air seemed to make time freeze. #hashtag today. I'm looking for flowery votes number 2017. 0409 Book Review Area Little Angel Grandpa. A new week has begun. Votes. The monthly votes of 2000 have been added to your votes. Continue to vote seriously. Deltepsilon. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.